Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. It is Sunday afternoon action on the opening weekend of the new Premier League season, and Brentford host London rivals Crystal Palace at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Brentford had a drop-off in the last campaign, going from 9th to 16th with 20 less points, but the return of Ivan Toney did lift the Bees as they hoped to return towards a mid-table finish. But for Ivan Toney, there is no spot for him in today's matchday squad for Brentford, as he is linked with a move away. For Crystal Palace, they were revolutionised by Oliver Glasner at the end of last season, with winning 6 of their last 7 games and bumping themselves up all the way to 10th position. For Palace, this was a top half finish for the first time since the 14-15 season. Before the last meeting, where Palace won 3-1 at Selhurst Park, right before New Year, the previous 5 before that had ended in draws, including a 1-1 here at Brentford at the start of last season. Brentford have failed to beat Palace in the last 7 games. The last time at home was all the way back in August 1977, and for Palace it's no away win against the Bees since Christmas Day 1957. So, in the 45th head-to-head meeting between the two sides, will it be Brentford to start the season shining, or can Palace continue their momentum from the end of last season? It's a huge loss for Brentford at the moment that Ivan Toney is not included in the matchday squad. He did return not too long ago from his break after the Euros, but the fact he's got a year left on his contract and he has been linked with a move away, the fact that he isn't involved today could be a slight concern for Brentford fans, as you know, he is their talisman. He is the one who's scored all their goals since promotion to the Premier League. So it's a worry that he's not involved, but hopefully it's just a matter of the fact that he's just not quite up to speed yet in terms of returning from the Euros. I know he wasn't a starter for England. He played a couple of times coming off the bench, but still, you'd think with the fact he missed the first half of last season, he had a smallish part in the Euros in terms of minutes played. Of course, he was huge in the Euros in terms of that assist in the last 16 game against Slovakia. But I feel like there's players who have played more minutes last season and in the Euros who have already returned for their clubs. So the fact that Toney isn't involved for Brentford today is worrying, and we'll have to see if he does end up with a move away. Because at the end of the day, Brentford will want Ivan Toney to stick around, but at the same time they want to make money on Ivan Toney. He's got a year left on his deal. They probably don't want to lose him on a free, because again, I think they'd rather lose him now, make some money, and reinvest that into another striker, because they have brought in a striker, Brentford, Igor Thiago, but he was injured in pre-season with a meniscus injury, and he's out for the rest of this year, for the rest of 2024. They brought him in for £30 million. So they don't have an out-and-out striker at the moment in the squad. Obviously, Ivan Toney not involved at the moment, and then Igor Thiago, unfortunately, picking up an injury in pre-season. And that their new striker, Igor Thiago, was brought in for a club record fee of £30 million. So it was a big signing for Brentford, but unfortunately they won't be seeing the Brazilian striker until at least 2025 competitively. But they've got a really strong front three, Brentford. No out-and-out striker is mentioned. It does look like Johan Wissa will be taking that lead role up front as the striker through the middle. But for Brentford last season, it wasn't a case of not scoring enough. They scored 56 goals in 38 league games, but defensively, 65 goals conceded, just the 7 clean sheets, 4 of them at home, but 2 of them were against the newly promoted sides of Sheffield United and Burnley, who ended up being relegated. But just the drop-off. I know Ivan Toney missed half of last season, but, finishing 16th on 39 points. In the season before that, they finished in 9th on 59 points. That is such a big drop-off. And, Brentford will want to try and, rebound this season and aim for those, top half places like Crystal Palace were able to do at the back end of last season under Oliver Glasner, finishing 10th in the end on 49 points, 10 better than today's opposition, Brentford. Palace winning 6 of their last 7 Premier League games, and the only time they didn't win was away at Fulham, and that was a draw. They were unbeaten in those last 7 games. And it looks like Oliver Glasner's got his Crystal Palace team playing a really exciting brand of football. Can be quite risky with their man-for-man marking at times with the three at the back and trying to get their creative players on the ball in the best positions. But, they've got plenty of quality in the starting 11 for Crystal Palace and the bench as well. I feel like, they've brought in some really, sensible signings with the likes of Chadi Riyad, the Moroccan centre-back from Real Betis. He's only 21 years of age. They've also got a returning Cheikh Doucouré, who of course was a Patrick Vieira signing 2 seasons ago, but he missed the second half of last season due to an Achilles injury, so he's not played under Oliver Glasner. Cheikh Doucouré's only played for him in this pre-season, so it'll be interesting to see how he can adapt to this system. They've also brought in Ismaïla Sarr from Marseille for £12.5 million. He's already had Premier League experience when he was at Watford, scored 10 goals in 50 league appearances for the Hornets whilst they were having their stints in the Premier League. So I think for Crystal Palace, if they can keep the momentum going into this season, then there's no reason why they can't be looking at the European spots, maybe looking for a top 7 finish. Throughout the seasons, we always see a couple of teams who you might not expect to be in those positions reach those positions. Quite a few seasons ago, we had Burnley in the European spots. Aston Villa, top 4 last season. That's a very impressive feat. Newcastle was in top 4 the season before that. And Brentford as well. 2 seasons ago when they finished 9th on 59 points, they were 2 points off European football. That's how tight it was 2 seasons ago. So as long as you have a good start, of course losses are going to be a part of the season. You're going to have blips, but if you can kind of keep them to a minimum and you can really just use your momentum to go on runs where you can win as many games as possible, then there's no reason why this Crystal Palace team can't set their sights high under Oliver Glasner. And they would like to get in Europe under Glasner because whilst he was at Frankfurt, the Austrian manager, he won the Europa League against Rangers, you might remember, in that final 3 seasons ago. So he does have European experience, the new Crystal Palace manager who was brought in just near towards the end of February of this year. But we'll go through both sets of starting 11s now, and we'll start with the home side Brentford, and it's Mark Flekken in goal. The Dutchman, who was a part of the Netherlands Euro squad but didn't play any part on the pitch. A back 4 of Mads Roerslev, the 25-year-old, and the left back, who's not usually a left back, but they've got some injury crisis. The likes of Rico Henry and Aaron Hickey is still out for Brentford, long-term injuries from last season, so Christopher Ayer has to fill in at left back. 2 centre-halves of Ethan Pinnock and Nathan Collins, with 3 in midfield of Matthijs Jensen, who's made 100 appearances now in the Premier League. Alongside him will be captain Christian Norgard and German former under-21 international Vitali Janelt. With a front 3 on the right will be Brian Mbeumo, who scored 9 goals last season in the Premier League. 4 came in the opening 4 games. On the left will be Kevin Schade, who was brought in permanently at the start of last season from Freiburg for £22 million. He only scored twice last season, was out for a majority of the season with a groin problem, but one of his 2 Premier League goals did come against Crystal Palace. And as mentioned before, through the middle, looking like he will be the striker for today, that is Johan Wissa, who also has a goal in his career against Crystal Palace. That was 2 seasons ago away from home at Selhurst Park. For Crystal Palace, the away side, it's Dean Henderson who gets the nod as the number 1 ahead of Sam Johnston, who looks to be set for a move away from Crystal Palace. With back 3 of American international Chris Richards, who played every minute for America in the Copa America. Alongside him will be Joachim Andersen, who was linked with a move back to Fulham, who he had a loan spell with 4 seasons ago, but he looks to stay put at Crystal Palace for now. And the England hero at the Euros, one of the best performers at the Euros for England, Mark Gay, is back in for Crystal Palace. He missed a lot of last season, the end of last season, due to a knee injury. 4 in midfield at right wing back will be Daniel Munoz, who is a Colombian right wing back. He played in the Copa America and was sent off in the semi-final against Uruguay and missed the final, unfortunately. The left wing back will be Tyreek Mitchell, who was brought in 2016 from Brentford. 2 central midfielders, both English, of Will Hughes and Adam Wharton, who made his England debut in the summer in the friendly before the Euros against Bosnia. And 3 up front. On the right is a new signing on a free from Lazio. He's already worked with Glasner whilst he was at Frankfurt, and that is Daichi Kamada. On the left will be Ibera Eze, who they were able to keep for now. He scored 11 league goals last season, including 3 substitute appearances in the Euros, and quickly returning from Olympic duty, and that is Jean-Philippe Mateta, who won silver at the Olympics with France. He scored 16 Premier League goals last season, 13 in 13, whilst Glasner was in charge. They are looking for their 6'4" target man to be on fire again this season. And they are the 2 starting 11s. We're about to get underway here at the G-Tech Community Stadium, which holds just over 17,500, opened back in September of 2020, and who will start their season with a win. It could be a draw. I think these 2 teams on their day can be evenly matched. If we're basing it off last season, obviously Crystal Palace will probably be more confident, but Brentford need to start quick as the referee blows the whistle. Both sets of players do take the knee, as it'll be Crystal Palace to kick off, kicking right to left in this first half. Brentford left to right. Palace get us underway with Eze sending it back to the middle centre half of Joachim Andersen. A left-footed high ball down the left-hand side, looking for Mitchell. Headed away by Roerslev, a chested ball in by Mbermo, picked up in the midfield by Yarnelt for Brentford, and he returns it to the goalkeeper of Mark Flecken in the 18-yard box, and we are underway here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. As Brentford last season struggled at home, just 5 wins from the 19. The season before that, in the 22-23 season, Brentford were able to win 10 of their 19 home games. So that's where a lot of the points were lost last season at home, as Christopher Ayer plays it in behind it, and Brentford are in. The cross goes in the box towards Wissa, and the sliding challenge at the near post from Gay sends it behind for a corner. Quick start for Brentford, less than a minute in. And it was down that left-hand side there. Kevin Schade, the one making the running behind, and the left-back Ayer found him, playing it in between Richards and Anderson, and Gay was the one to stop the cross from going any further into the box. But it is an early corner for Brentford. It's going to be a right-footed in-swinger from the number 8 of Matthijs Jensen, who was in the Denmark squad in the Euros but didn't feature at all. As Jensen crosses into the box, it's a header off Gay, falls to the edge of the area here to Roerslev, who has to go back towards the halfway line here, all the way to the goalkeeper of Mark Flecken, who's going to launch this ball back forward. It's a diagonal switch out to the left, headed on towards Jensen, kicked away by Kamada. Jensen pokes it off a Crystal Palace man, and it will be a Brentford throw-in on that far side as they continue the bright start here against the Eagles, who won 6 of their last 7 games of last season. And Jensen does have a long throw in him, but I think he's a little bit too far away in the box to try a long throw, so he'll go backwards here to Yarnelt, lifts it back towards Jensen, being pressed by Munoz. Down the line it goes towards Mbermo, cleared by Richards, out for another throw for Brentford, about midway inside the Palace half here. It's the Bees who've started quickly here, already winning a corner, a couple of throw-ins already deep in the Palace half. As Jensen gets the return from the throw, nutmegs Will Hughes, but then tackled and the ball's cleared in the 18-yard box by Wharton for Crystal Palace. Mateta can't get there ahead of Ayer, who keeps the ball in down the left-hand side. Oh, no, he doesn't keep the ball in down the left-hand side. And it's a Crystal Palace throw-in just inside their own half on that far side. A chance for Crystal Palace to get their foot on the ball and get themselves growing into this game. As the opening 2 minutes and 42 seconds have been taken up by Brentford possession. No shots on goal, though, as of yet. But we are only in the early stages of the game as Munoz throws it towards Kamada. The header flicked towards an area where you'd expect Mateta to be, but he'd just gone as an option for the throw-in, so wasn't quite in his usual striker position. So the ball rolls through here for the Brentford goalkeeper of Mark Flecken. It's now with the right-back Roerslev, midway inside the Brentford half. Plays it forward to Wissa, links up with Roerslev, who gets the return. Still with the Danish right-back, who's tripped on the halfway line. Referee doesn't see it as a trip. And there's battling in the midfield. Will Hughes loses out to Norgard. It's now in Burma on the right wing to bring it forward. Trying to play a through ball into the box for Wissa. Cut out and cleared by Anderson. Headed forward by Nathan Collins for Brentford, where it's headed out of touch by Tyreek Mitchell ahead of Mads Roerslev. It's another Brentford throw-in. Midway inside the Palace half, they throw it towards the halfway line to Yarnell. It tries to return it to the goalkeeper. It's short, and Ethan Pinnock will get there ahead of Mateta. And it's Brentford still in possession on that far side. Schade lifting it up towards the run of Jensen. Headed away by Chris Richards. Chested down by Wharton. Played forward to Kamada. It's now to Mateta. Out wide right to Munoz. It's good football from Palace. It's their first attack of the game. As Munoz is tackled there by Schade. And it will go for a corner for Crystal Palace. It's their turn now to have a set piece in the opening exchanges of this game. Love this. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Hope everyone is enjoying. If you could like and subscribe, if you haven't already, that would be fantastic. There is a game later on as well, which I won't be covering, but it's exciting. Chelsea against the champions Manchester City. But this earlier kickoff will be exciting. 5 of the last 6 meetings have been draws, but they have had goals, the majority of them. We haven't had a 0-0 for a while in this fixture. Could get the opening goal here. It's going to be a corner for Crystal Palace as they swarm the 6-yard box. Wharton puts it in towards the far post. It's a punch away by Flecken. Header around the edge of the box by Mbermo. He'll drop to Eze. Loads of space on this left-hand side here for Anderson, who will take a touch with the left foot, cross with the right. It deflects. It loops towards Will Hughes, who meets Flecken. And the last touch comes off the Crystal Palace midfielder, and it's a goal kick there. Just looked a little bit nervy there, Mark Flecken, on Will Hughes, which is slightly confusing because Mark Flecken is 6'5" and is huge. And he just ran into Will Hughes, and the last touch came off the former Watford central midfielder. As we're just over 5 minutes in here at the GTEC Community Stadium, it's Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0. It's Flecken sends a goal kick long out to the left-hand side, just inside the Palace half. Header won by Chris Richards, all as far as Norgard. He fires it back out to the left here for Jensen. Turns away from Munoz, and then sends a ball out towards the right wing, where Mbermo can't quite get there ahead of Mitchell, who heads to Eze. Back to Mitchell in a left wing-back position. Curls it down the line into the Brentford half, where it's a header away by Nathan Collins, ahead of Mateta. And on the halfway line, it's a Crystal Palace throw-in. It's definitely been a bright start from Brentford, who won just one of their 5 pre-season games, and that was away against League 2 Wimbledon. After that, they drew 1-1 with Benfica. Also lost at Estrela de Andorra in Portugal, whilst they went on their Portugal tour in pre-season. Drew to Watford 1-1, and then drew 4-4 to Wolfsburg last week. Here at the GTEC Community Stadium, just over 10,000 in attendance for that game. So it's not been the best of pre-seasons in terms of results, but we all know that pre-season isn't about results. It's about getting players back up to speed, especially if they've been a part of any competitions within the season. And those who haven't, who have had quite a lot of time off football, as Eze has the ball broke to him, and he plays it to Kamada. Now the right wing-back Munoz in the final third. He's been given time to find a cross here, and he'll put it in towards Mateta, flick to the far post to Mitchell, who strikes it, and he drags it a good 5 or 10 yards wide there. The former Brentford man, Tyreek Mitchell, from the left wing-back, entering the box late, had the free shot, but actually dragged it pretty far wide in the end there. The Crystal Palace number 3, who scored twice last season, once away from home early on in the campaign to Burnley, then also scored in that win to Manchester United at home towards the end of the season. As Palace have won it back, and Wharton almost plays it through in the box to Mateta, just slightly overhit, and into the gloves of Flecken it goes as he rolls it out to the left back Ayer. Down the line on the halfway line is Schade, met by Chris Richards, who tackles him and keeps it in and plays it into the midfield here to Adam Wharton. Now in the centre circle to Eze, who's had interest from plenty of Premier League clubs, but he stayed put at Palace for now. Eze trying to find Kamada, the Japanese attacker. Finds him and he just about pokes it back to Wharton to keep it alive for Palace as he's midway inside the Brentford half. It's still Adam Wharton on the ball. Tries to play it through to Eze, nearly finds him on the edge of the area. Slight flick off the toe of Norgard. And it's Brentford who can eventually clear it up into the air. Hughes heads it back into the sky and then heads it out to the left wing towards Eze. Loses out to Roslev, who slices a clearance out of touch. Was it out of touch? No, Gay's been able to keep it in. And he plays it across to the right centre half here of Chris Richards, the 24-year-old American. He spent 4 years at Bayern Munich, making just 10 first-team appearances. Man City should have covered. Yeah, I probably should have, but I just like changing up on this channel. I don't always like doing the the big teams and the big games. I will do the big games at times, but I just like to keep it different, not just always doing the big teams, because I see like the big teams always get done, with watch-alongs by these big YouTube channels, and it kind of takes numbers away from my channel. It takes down my my viewers when you Mark Goldbridge is doing watch-alongs. So it just helps when you just do games that aren't as big as Chelsea, Manchester City, for example. As it's Palace who have just started to put their authority on this game, starting to have a bit of the possession. They're on the far side with Munoz at the right wing back, fakes the first cross and plays it back to Richards. Goes across into a central area here to Will Hughes. Playing a low ball to Mateta. First touch to Eze, and the first touch pass back to Mateta. Almost reached the Frenchman, but it was sent back to Mark Flecken by Roerslev. So starting to find their patterns of play here, Crystal Palace. Finding a bearer Eze in really good pockets of space. And you feel like it's only a matter of time until he can start getting his shots away and looking for his goals again. Because Eze scored 11 goals last season in the Premier League, 3 in the last 2. And he's so important in this Palace team. Brought in, just over 4 years ago now from QPR for £17 million. Does have a release clause of £60 million of his contract, but I've heard that may have expired this week, but I'm not too sure. As attacking their Kamada just tripped a Brentford man on the edge of the area, and that'll be a free kick for Brentford, who started decently in the first 3 minutes of the game. But Crystal Palace have just, started to have their own say on proceedings here. As the referee is Sam Barrett, who was the referee for the League One playoff final at the end of last season between Bolton and Oxford. It looks like he's been promoted this season to Premier League duties. As again, another free kick for Brentford on the halfway line on this near side. Anderson just taking down Johan Wissa, who got 12 goals last season with the absence of Ivan Toney for the majority of the campaign. He has another 2 years left on his contract here at Brentford. The DR Congo international. 99 appearances now as well for Wissa in the Premier League. One more off the 100 mark. As Brentford do have a challenge next week when they have to go and travel away to Anfield to take on Liverpool under their new manager of Arne Slot. And then Crystal Palace have got another London side to face, and that's West Ham at home at Selhurst Park. As it's Palace attacking again. In the box is Eze in the corner of the box on the left-hand side, being forced away by Norgard. Eze still has it, the number 10. Scoops it into Will Hughes, who's made a run towards the byline. Keeps it in momentarily, but then is forced out of play after pressure from Nathan Collins. And just over 11 minutes in here, it's still Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0. And both sides have had little spells in this game, but no real clear-cut opportunities yet. Crystal Palace have come close. Does the odd pass not quite reaching the intended target, or it may have took a slight deflection, but one of them passes soon will come off, and Brentford just need to be careful they don't concede too early in this game. As a long ball over the top down the left-hand side by Ayer, looks for Sharda, just overhit into the 18-yard box it goes, and it's collected by Dean Henderson, who was involved in the Euro squad for England, of course didn't feature, as we know the number 1 is Jordan Pickford, and he's actually took the number 1 shirt this season off Sam Johnston. I do apologise, I've got Dean Henderson's number 30 on the screen there, but Dean Henderson has took the number 1 shirt, and it does look like he will be the number 1. Sam Johnston, the substitute goalkeeper for today, has been told that he can look for a new club. And in terms of new signings, Brentford have made a really big signing at the start of this week, as they signed Fabio Carvalho for £27.5 million from Liverpool. He spent the first half of last season at RB Leipzig, didn't really work, didn't score a goal, then went on loan in the Championship to Hull, where he scored 9 in 20 for Hull City. So now he's got his move to the Premier League, where he should be playing. Fabio Carvalho is certainly a Premier League quality player, and he's on the bench today for Brentford, as Palace have a throw-in. Headed backwards by Yarnell and straight to Eze, who sends it over the top, looking for Mateta. Collins gets there first, chests it towards Flecken, then pokes it to Flecken, who clears it first time, left-footed out to the left-hand side, headed forward by Ayer. Looks like Munoz, who tries to head it to Kamada, intercepted by Norgard. Ayer takes on Munoz, tries to send it down the left-hand side again, cut out by Richards this time, and Palace have it in the Brentford half of Wharton. Has to go back into his own half to find Anderson after pressure from Matthias Jensen. It's now Will Hughes in the centre circle. Out to this near side here to Tyreek Mitchell. Looking for options. Hesitating with the ball. Then going forward into Will Hughes, who finds a nice pocket of space. Quickly closed down by Norgard, but keeps it moving back to Tyreek Mitchell. Wharton round the corner for Mateta. Flicks it down the left-hand side. Can't quite find Eze. It's now with Yarnelt in the right-back area. Goes across his goal towards Flecken. With his left foot. Plays a low ball here to Ayer at left-back. Being closed down by Munoz. Ayer tries a switch to the right back Roerslev, and it's a brilliant ball. Roerslev brings it down superbly, and he also tries another switch out to the left, and he finds Sharda. Control isn't great. Tackle by Wharton midway inside the Palace half. And it's Crystal Palace who are back on the ball. It's Eze on halfway. Can't flick it away from Collins, but it does deflect to Will Hughes. So Crystal Palace still have it. They won just 5 games last season on the road, Crystal Palace. And probably the best win was away at Liverpool towards the end of the season, 1-0 win. They also beat Manchester United away towards the start of the season. Did lose 8 times, and the biggest was to Arsenal just after the new year. Is Mitchell, low ball into the box for Palace. It's cleared away from Kamada, who was entering the box there for the away side. It had to be cleared by Norgard. Just 1 year in Italy for Daichi Kamada, Crystal Palace's new signing. Joined Lazio on a free. Just didn't quite work for him, just 2 goals in Serie A, but they did come away from home against Napoli and Inter Milan. So, not the worst of opponents to score, but he's now reunited with Oliver Glasner. Daichi Kamada scored 25 times in 93 games for Glasner whilst they worked together at Frankfurt. As a loose ball by Hughes is just picked up by Mitchell. And now Eze can run towards goal. He's got Mitchell free to his left in the box. Eze will go on his own and his shot's blocked and he should have played it to Mitchell. And the last touch comes off a Crystal Palace player and it's a goal kick. Eze being selfish, sometimes you're told it's good to be selfish, but that time he needed to release the ball. I know Mitchell's not known for his, constant goal scoring, but he definitely has a decent strike on him, and Eze should have slotted it to him to his left. Instead, cut onto his right foot and tried to shoot towards goal. Came off the right knee there of Collins, and I think as it deflected, it bounced off Mateta and away for a goal kick. Just over 15 minutes in here, it's still all square at 0-0 between these two teams as Flacken plays it to the left back, Aya. Now into the midfield to number 27, Vitali Yarnelt, who has got a goal against Crystal Palace 2 seasons ago now. In the 22-23 season. Hamburg-born central midfielder. Spent 4 years at Hamburg before moving to RB Leipzig. Then to Bochum, and now playing in England with Brentford. Vitali Yarnelt joined for £500,000 in 2020. Just over 100 appearances now for him in the Premier League. The 26-year-old. There's still Brentford on the ball in their own half here, which with their number 5, Ethan Pinnock, who played every minute in the Copa America for Jamaica, but they were beaten all 3 times in the group, so were knocked out early. That's on the halfway line. Is Yarnelt facing his own goal here from press from Wharton, but he can go to the left centre half of Pinnock. Now at Aya, bringing it forward beyond the halfway line. Chris Richards gets close to him, but he can work it to Sharda, can't return it to Aya, deflects off Munoz, and that will be a throw-in halfway inside the Crystal Palace half for Brentford. They throw it back to the halfway line, though, to Ethan Pinnock, who has never tasted victory against Crystal Palace during his career. As it's with the right back Roeslev, just in front of the 2 technical areas, tries to go into the middle to Wissa, picked up by Joachim Andersen, who takes it beyond the halfway line himself, lays it off to Eze, who goes back to Hughes, and it's now in the centre circle of Adam Wharton. Now Kamada, out to the far side to Munoz, about 10 yards inside the Brentford half. Just goes back here to Daichi Kamada, who's been given a 2-year contract at Crystal Palace. Anderson, forward down the left-hand side to Eze, back to goal, twisting, turning, keeping it away from Mbermo. It's now to Anderson, lifting it, looking for Mateta on the edge of the box. Header over by Collins. The ball's loose. Collected by Mbermo. Forward to Wissa. And he's got runs ahead of him here. The one is Jensen to his left. He doesn't use him. Wissa carries on going on his own and finds Mbermo towards the right. He runs into traffic of Tyreek Mitchell. And it will be into the chest of Dean Henderson again. Wrong pass made. Johan Wissa should have played it to his left this time. Like Eze should have played it to his left to Mitchell. Wissa should have played to his left there to Matthijs Jensen, who scored 3 goals last season in the Premier League, and they all came in the opening 8 games. So he is able of scoring, Matthijs Jensen. But Johan Wissa decided to not use him that time as Dean Henderson kicks out of his hands into the Brentford half here, where it bounced in front of Collins. He heads it to the left-back area to Jensen, back towards Collins. It misses him and Wharton, and played forward by Yarnelt. It's a brilliant ball to Mbermo, forced wide as he couldn't quite control it properly, but he's one-on-one with Tyreek Mitchell. He's got the run of Roeslev for him, can't quite find him though. Gehi sweeps up for Palace, clearing it back towards the halfway line to Nathan Collins, and Brentford will build again from the halfway line. It's this near side with Roeslev being forced away from goal by Mitchell, firing it back to the number 22 of Nathan Collins. Just 23 years of age, the Irish centre-half. He's got 20 caps for his country. And he should be facing England pretty soon in the next international break, Nathan Collins. I'm sure he'll be called up by new Ireland manager John O'Shea. As Brentford via the Crystal Palace press, have been forced back to their goalkeeper of Mark Fleck. And he is Dutch, but he spent the majority of his playing career in Germany. Left the Netherlands in 2009 to start playing in Germany, and left at the start of last season. Left Freiburg for £11 million to join Brentford, a replacement for David Raya, who's now permanently moved to Arsenal. Still in the 18-yard box for Brentford with Ethan Pinnock going across to Flecken, being closed down by Kamada. Flecken nudged off the ball and it drops to Eze on the edge of the area. Can he get shot away? He trips on the edge of the box, right on the edge of the box. Johan Wissa will go into the book here for Brentford, and he's very fortunate that's not a penalty. It's very close. It is outside the box, but he's playing it close there. Flecken just taking too long to play the ball. Took a little second to glance up to see his options, but in the Premier League you don't have that time. You're not given that luxury. And as he cleared it, he was knocked off balance by Kamada, fairly for me. And he was just out of his goal, but Brentford had two players in the way of the goal, and Eze couldn't quite get out of his feet quickly enough to get a shot away. But before he could do anything else, he was brought down by Wissa. And it will be a free kick for Crystal Palace. And it's from a range where people do say it's quite cliche, but it is true. Sometimes free kicks can be a bit too close, of having the ability of getting it up over the wall and then back under the crossbar. But if anyone can do it, it is Abera Eze, who will have a pop at this. Right outside the box, probably at 19 yards out, just slightly to the left-hand side, so it is a nice angle for a right footer. We need some Eze magic here to try and get Crystal Palace their first goal of the season. Can Eze do it? The Palace number 10, their main man, takes the free kick low towards the bottom right corner. He went the goalkeeper's side and just wide it goes. If it was on target, I think Flecken had it covered, but it's not a bad attempt there from Abera Eze. And it still remains 0-0, 21 minutes in. Low-driven shot. Caught it really nicely. Fizzed along the turf. Not far wide at all. Flecken possibly had it covered. Eze comes close. Remains 0-0. Brentford go long. It's flicked on by Schade to Jensen. Can't quite return it to Schade. And on the halfway line, on the far side, it's Crystal Palace throwing, with their right wing-back of Daniel Munoz, the Colombian, who is known for his goal scoring. He's an attacking full-back. He didn't score last season for Palace. It's joining in the January from Genk. But at Genk, he scored plenty of goals from wing-back. He got 19 in just less than 150 appearances. And for a right-back, I think that's pretty solid numbers. 19 from 148 appearances. As we've got another booking here. Anderson goes in late, just inside the Brentford half there. Is linked with a move away, Joachim Anderson, to Fulham. As Wissa, who was booked for the Eze challenge, gets Anderson booked. Yeah, just slides in there, Anderson. A little bit reckless. Went right through the back of Wissa. And that's a pretty simple decision for the referee to give a yellow card there. Sam Barrett. And Anderson is in the book. We've had one clear-cut chance there. Well, we've had two clear-cut chances, really, for Crystal Palace, both dropping to Eze when Eze was breaking away about 5 minutes ago. Should have played it to Mitchell, but had his shot and it was blocked. He's had that free kick there. Brentford really haven't tested Dean Henderson yet at the moment. No clear-cut opportunities for the home side, as Wharton lifted ball up towards Eze, headed forward and away by Roslev. Now Brentford playing it forward with their captain Norgard. Now out to the left looking for the runner Schade. Has it been overhit by Jensen? No, it hasn't. It's perfect weight. Schade running at Richards just outside the 18-yard box. Wants to try and switch it out towards Roslev. It'll be kept in by Mbermo. And Roslev's making the overlap. And Mbermo won't use him. On his left foot, low ball in. Comes off Hughes. And on the edge of the area, he battles with Mbermo. Loose ball drops to Wissa. Brentford can continue to attack it in a central area with Wissa about 30 yards away from goal. Works out to the right-hand side here now with Roslev. Back inside to Wissa. Loses out to Hughes. It's now with Eze. Surrounded by 3 Brentford shirts. And he loses out to Jensen. Turns forward here. It's a good turn from Collins, who will barge away Hughes. And he can't quite release a good enough pass to Mbermo in the box. And Crystal Palace have it back, going forward quickly here to Mitchell. It's now Mateta. Not many touches on the ball for the Frenchman. But he's having a run towards goal here. Plays it inside to Anderson, then forward to Eze. Mateta's making a run off the ball. Eze returns it to Anderson. Lifts it out to the right in the corner of the box now to Munoz. 1-on-1 with Ayer, onto his left foot, lays it off for Anderson, who will shoot from the edge of the box, and it's well caught by Mark Flecken, and it's a Brentford ball. Anderson scored here last season in the 1-1 draw. Sharda got the scoring underway for Brentford in the first half, and then a 76th minute equaliser from Anderson made this game all level last season. Still no goals here, just less than 25 minutes in. Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 0. It's Flecken. Plays it to Ayer, the left back. He's been closed down by Munoz, and he tries to clear it, but it's sliced in the air, and Wharton's knocked to the ground there by Matthias Jensen, and it'll be a free kick for Crystal Palace. Just on that right-hand side, about 25 yards away from goal. Like I say, the angle's too wide for a shot, but it's suited for a really good cross, and they have got the likes of an Eze who can deliver the ball in. Just looks like maybe a slight elbow in the back of Adam Wharton, who can also deliver a ball in as well, left foot, and it looks like it may be an in-swinging ball in here from Adam Wharton, who got himself involved in the Euros in terms of being in the squad, but Gareth Southgate didn't use him in any of the games. Blackburn born, came through their academy and left in the January for £22 million. So it's a one-man Brentford wall, and that's going to be Brian and Burmo. Eze is also there, and it will be Eze to take. Wharton leaves it. Eze goes for the shot, and it's off the post and in. But there's a free kick given off the ball, and it looks like the goal will not stand. Sam Barrett quickly blowing his whistle for a foul, and it was almost magic from Eze. Glasner wants answers. He's caught the goalkeeper out there, Eze, bending it around in Burmo, and it just took a slight nick off the inside of the post. It went in. Where's the foul? I think Will Hughes blocking off the run of Nathan Collins, tripping him over. That must be where the free kick's been given. And it's all important when the referee blew the whistle. He blew the whistle, I think, before the goal went in. So I don't think VAR can have a say. Because obviously if he blew the whistle after the goal went in, then VAR can have a look. But the fact that he blew the whistle before the ball hit the back of the net, then I don't think they can interfere too much. I mean, it's a bit soft. Will Hughes just trying to block the defensive run of Nathan Collins, and he's the one you need to stop. Because Nathan Collins is 6'4" for Brentford. He's one of their better aerial threats of defending and attacking set pieces. So the decision will stand. It's no goal. It was almost brilliant from Eze. Well, it was brilliant from Eze. He got that ball in the net. I thought the angle was too wide for a shot, but the fact he saw Flecken so far off his line, he decided to whip it into that near post. It went in the back of the net for Eze, but it will not stand as there was a foul in the box off the ball by Will Hughes on Nathan Collins, and it remains 0-0 here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Bit of a let-off for Brentford and for Mark Flecken, who will have to keep his eyes peeled now for where he stands for set pieces. So unfortunate from a bear at Eze. Big call, though, from the referee, Sam Barrett, to blow his whistle before the ball had hit the back of the net. And it remains goalless. And Palace will probably view that as rather unfortunate that the goal's not stood. But we're back underway here, and it's Mark Flecken in an all-light blue goalkeeper kit for Brentford this afternoon. And it was a Crystal Palace win the last time these two sides met on the 30th of December of last year. 2 goals for Elise, 1 for Eze, and then an early goal from Lewis Potter for Brentford, which put them ahead. But the Elise-Eze link-up was just too strong for Brentford. Of course, no Elise now for Crystal Palace, who left in the summer for Bayern Munich for around £51 million. As Burmo has been fed away on the right-hand side by Wissa in the box. In Burmo on the right side, onto his left foot, shoots it across goal, and it goes beyond Dean Henderson. And it's Brentford who take the lead instead. 2 minutes ago, it was Palace who had the ball in the back of the net. Disallowed by the referee. And just under half an hour in, Brian Burmo has got Brentford's season started with a goal. that is trademarking Burmo from that right wing, cutting onto his stronger left foot, shooting towards that far corner, beating Dean Henderson in the Crystal Palace goal. It's the first time that Mbeumo has scored against today's opposition in his career. And it'll be almighty frustration for Crystal Palace. It was really well built from the back by Brentford in their own half, playing through the Crystal Palace press. And as Wissa played it down that right side to Mbeumo, he was running at Mark Gay, was allowed to get onto his left foot. And as he shot towards the far corner, I don't even think it took any deflections. It went straight through, past Gay. He was the first man it got beyond. And Chris Richards couldn't get himself in the way. And by the time it got beyond those two bodies, it also went past the goalkeeper of Henderson. Thomas Frank will be delighted. Crystal Palace have definitely been the better team so far, but it's the home side who took advantage. And they lead 1-0. Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 0. And Crystal Palace will be scratching their heads, wondering how on earth they are the team behind in this one. It could be 2. Wissa again looking in behind for Mbeumo. Mitchell kicks it towards Richards, but Mbeumo gets there first on the edge of the area, slips it through for Ayer, lifts it towards goal, comes off Henderson and then cleared in the 6-yard box by Mitchell. It was almost a second for Brentford, as the attack will continue down the far side here with Jensen going inside to Norgard. Back out wide to Jensen. Left-footed cross goes into the far post where Wissa can control it. It's brilliant, but it can't quite keep it away from Tyreek Mitchell. And the tables have turned in this game in the last few minutes. It's Brentford on top as the long ball forward down the left is picked up by Mateta. Can't quite take on Pinnock. And it'll be returned to the goalkeeper of Mark Flecken. And what a change in the game. They've not had many opportunities so far. Brentford is off the ball. Christopher Ayer is hobbling, trying to get back on the pitch. He's just receiving treatment from 2 Brentford physios there. Not quite sure what happened to the makeshift Norwegian left-back, but they're going to have to do without him for now. And Brentford's first shot on goal has resulted in a goal for Bryan Mbeumo. Minutes after Crystal Palace had one disallowed for Eze from a free kick. Foul off the ball. And before it hit the back of the net, the referee had already blown his whistle for the foul. And then Brentford go up the other end and score. That's how football is at times. Christopher Ayer still hobbling, not quite sure what happened. I think as he maybe had his shot towards goal, which was saved by Henderson, he may have just been caught by the goalkeeper or maybe one of the defenders who were chasing him down. But just over 32 minutes in here, Brentford still lead 1-0 and they've got the throw-in. Can't quite find Schade, but now returned to him by Jensen. Can't quite take on Anderson. Last touch off Schade. And it will be a goal kick for Crystal Palace. And that's the thing with Crystal Palace. They do like to press, as quickly as possible. They want to win the ball as high up the pitch as possible. But if the press isn't right, then you can play through it. It does leave them rather open, especially with that 3 at the back they like to play. But as Ayer poked it towards goal, I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe Munoz slightly caught him, but it didn't look like anything really dangerous or certainly didn't look purposeful by Munoz to try and hurt Christopher Ayer. And he's now on the ball midway inside the Brentford half, the Colombian wing-back. He goes back into the centre circle here with Anderson. Time on the ball, lifts it into the box, looking for Eze, but Flecken's out quickly and catches well. Good goalkeeping there by the 31-year-old. And he throws it out to the right-back, Roerslev. Forward to Wissa. Wanting to turn forward, he nutmegs Wharton. It's brilliant, and he plays it to the left centre half of Pinnock. Kind of kills the momentum, that pass backwards after the brilliant turn and the nutmeg, but it was better than losing the ball outright there for Wissa. Cleared forward by Pinnock. Jensen controls. Still in the Brentford half as it's Richards trying to win it back here. Norgard in a bit of a pickle, but he can work it to his left to Yarnell. Tries to go forward to Wisser, finds him, then ball to his right to Jensen. Now forward into the Palace half with Roerslev from right back, just tucking inside and then playing it wide to Mbermo. Running at Mitchell, Roerslev overlaps, looks for him in the box. The pass is overhit and can be seen behind for a goal kick there by Mark Gay, who has got interest from Newcastle. Apparently they put in a good 3 or 4 offers, which have all been rejected by Crystal Palace. They brought him in 2021 from Chelsea for £18 million. They'll be making a big profit on him if they were to sell Mark Gay, who was key and important for England in the Euros, assisted the Bellingham overhead kick as well with that flick on to keep England's Euros alive. 99th appearance for him as well in the Premier League as a poor ball forward by Dean Henderson has not been punished by Brentford. And Burmo's pass into the box was loose. Couldn't find Wisser. And Dean Henderson then throws it to the left back Mitchell. Inside to Ezer on halfway. Finding Kamada. Then back to Ezer. It's now Gay. Just inside the Palace half. Bringing it forward. Beyond the halfway line. Laying it off 5 yards to his left here to Ezer. He's trying to make things happen from deep. But just goes across to Anderson instead. Got something to protect now, Brentford, with less than 10 minutes of the first half to play. Anderson being pressed by Schade. Going across to his partner at the back, and that's Gay. To this near side to Mitchell. Plays it down the line for Ezer, who will beat Mbermo to it in the final third. Still with the Palace number 10 inside to Will Hughes. Returns it to Ezer, who gets ahead of Mbermo. Enters the box. Does he? No, he doesn't. It's Norgard with a good sliding tackle. Then Mbermo's fouled there by Hughes. And Brentford have a free kick on the edge of their own box. It was almost a really intelligent little flick over Norgard there by Ezer, but Norgard was just able to get a touch to the ball to take it off the Crystal Palace number 10. And they're showing that free kick again. Ezer hitting it off the post, and then it's brilliant thinking. But before the ball had hit the back of the net, the referee had already blown the whistle, so VAR couldn't intervene. And then literally a minute later, Brentford beat the Palace press, goal at the other end, and Mbermo bags his first goal of the season. Got 4 in his first 4 in last season's campaign, and you'll be looking for a similar start again, the Cameroon international. So we're 36.5 minutes in. 1-0 to Brentford. Palace have been good, but not clinical enough. Brentford have had, well, they've had more than one shot now, but at the time, their goal was their first shot in the game. So we'll get this Brentford free kick. It'll be taken by the goalkeeper, Mark Fleck, and it looks like it'll be a longer free kick. Taking his time here, Mark Flecken. Eventually kicks it long out to the left-hand side, deep in towards the Crystal Palace final defensive third, headed inside by Schade, headed away by Anderson. Free collection for Norgard, who flicks it forward to Wisser, heads it back on towards Norgard, who heads it himself towards the edge of the box to Jensen. Can't quite get there, the Brentford man. It's now Will Hughes to go forward. Brilliant ball in the centre circle to Kamada. To the left to Ezer. Kamada making a run in behind, tries to find him, can't quite do so. Comes off Roerslev to Mitchell. Still alive for Palace in the Brentford half. Switch it across to the right to Chris Richards, who has been reinvigorated at Crystal Palace by Oliver Glasner, using him in this back 3 system. Big switch out by Gay, looking for Munoz at right wing back, and he controls it away from goal, and he's been taken away from him there by Schade, who will be met by Wharton, and he has to drag him down, and it's a free kick for Crystal Palace. Well won there by Adam Wharton. And it's now on the halfway line with Joachim Anderson. Now with the number 26, Adam Wharton, whose brother, Scott Wharton, plays for Blackburn as well. Been part of the first team for quite some time now, as Palace have lost it in the Brentford half, and they're quickly defending their own goal here. It's Christopher Ayer from left back, on the edge of the box, onto his right foot, tries to slip it through, down the line for Schade, dealt with by Anderson, cleared up the pitch, headed back forward though by Norgard, but he misdirects the header towards Ayer, and out of play it goes for a Crystal Palace ball, with Daniel Munoz, who gets the return from the throw-in by Wharton. And he goes back to the number 26 of Chris Richards. It's now Henderson, the goalkeeper. Long ball forward. He's chested down by Collins. and played to the right back Roerslev. It's really calm defending by Collins. Roerslev flicked by Wisser. Looking for Norgard, kicks it in the air. He's collided with Wharton. The referee plays advantage as it would have been a Brentford free kick. But there's an offside flag up on Schade as he received the ball from that kick from Christian Norgard. So 6 minutes to play in the first half. 1-0 to Brentford. Yeah, Wharton just getting across there and colliding with Norgard. It was certainly a Brentford free kick if it was to be pulled back, but the advantage was played there for Palace as they break through now. Kamada, he's got Mateta to his right. He overhits the pass, but Mateta will try and get there ahead of Flecken. Mateta goes down. Referee doesn't see the penalty. Mateta has stayed down, and the Brentford supporters are letting Mateta know what they think of that. They believed he's dived, or at least tried to buy the penalty. Mateta getting there ahead of Flecken. No, Flecken getting a good touch of the ball there. Mateta going down. Good goalkeeping from Flecken. He had to make sure he got there. So Brentford bring it forward on the halfway line. It's Jarnelt. Out to the right, Wisser. Just playing in more like a right back role at the moment in the build-up play. Obviously not wanting to go too long without seeing the ball. Johan Wisser. But they are also very flexible, that front three. Having Burmo, Wisser and Schade. You know, all three of those players could probably play in any of those three positions in the front three. Brentford have it, throwing halfway line with the number 30, Mads Roerslev, who's a former Denmark under-21 international. Not featured yet for the senior team for Denmark. Assisted the goal last season away at Selhurst Park, Mads Roerslev. As Brentford switch it to the left, it's a brilliant ball. It's now Schade running one-on-one with Munoz. Schade into the final third. Still away from the 18-yard box for now. Tries to take on Munoz, and he can't quite do so. Touch is too heavy, and out of play goes for a goal kick. Needed to do better there, Kevin Schade, who's not really had a brilliant Brentford career. He joined on loan in January of 2023. Joined permanently in the summer of last year. He's made 31 appearances for Brentford altogether, just the 2 goals, both coming last season against Crystal Palace in the August and Luton in the April. Did miss a lot of last season, though injured. September to April, he was out of a groin injury, as Brentford have got him behind here. Left-hand side of the box, angles tight, Schade works onto his right foot and he shoots, and it's just wide of the far post. Just speaking about how he's not really had a very spectacular start to his Brentford career, Kevin Schade, but that could have really lifted it up to another level. Winning it on the halfway line with a header forward by Jensen. Then over the top it went to Schade, who was allowed to cut onto his stronger right foot there by Richards. It's poor defending. And as Schade had the shot towards the far corner, the power was there. Just lacked the accuracy. Bending in. It's not far away. It's less than a yard wide. In Burma maybe wanted the ball played to him for his second, but I don't think Schade made the wrong decision to go on his own there. He was very close to scoring. The former German international, 3 appearances for his country, Kevin Schade, all 3 of them coming back in 2023. So closing in on half time, here's Mateta, gives it away, trying to play the ball backwards. It's now with Wisser. Playing it to the left to Jensen. Jensen using his body well to keep away from Munoz. It's now on the halfway line with Jarnelt on the far side. As everyone's behind the ball for Crystal Palace, it was almost a slight scare there before the break. Bad giveaway by Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's looking for his 25th Premier League goal of his career this afternoon. It's down the Brentford right in Burmo. Loses out to Gay. Can't quite keep it in play on the halfway line. So throw-in for Brentford, who won just one of their first 8 games in the Premier League, as the throw-in's gone Palace's way. I'm sure that came off Gay last, and Thomas Frank's furious, the Brentford manager, and rightly so. I don't quite see how they've given that a Crystal Palace ball and not a Brentford ball, but we're back underway. not exactly like Palace are doing anything dangerous with the ball at the moment, as Anderson brings it forward in the centre circle. Playing it to the left to Gay. About midway inside the Brentford half, the switch is on to the right, and he'll find the switch to Munoz, who controls it brilliantly and delivers it in. It loops up into the back post, and it's a header of Roslev, recollected for Palace by the captain Gay, keeping it away from him, Burmo, wanting to play the ball forward, but has to go back to Anderson, as Crystal Palace are looking for an equaliser before half-time. Less than a minute to go until we find out if we have any added on time in this first half, as Kamada tries to beat Collins to it, and he pokes it backwards to Gay. Still Palace with the momentum of the attack. Will Hughes, everyone behind the ball for Brentford. They know they just need to see this lead out through to at least half-time. And then regroup at the break. Wharton, 30 yards from goal. Goes to his left to Will Hughes. Forward in the box for Eze. Back to goal for now. Still has it. Tries to dink it in behind for Munoz. The ball deflects up, and it's well dealt with there by Matthias Jensen, who goes into the middle here to Wisser as Brentford look to break. Wisser with ball out to the right to Burmo. Plenty of Palace bodies back, but Brentford are also trying to get bodies forward themselves here, as Burmo keeps it alive on the right-hand side. Wisser tries to go back out to Roslev, met by a strong sliding challenge from Gay, and it's been given as a free kick. I thought that was a rather clean tackle, and the yellow card's out. Johan Wisser thinks it should be red. Hands on head from Johan Wisser. I thought he'd just got there, Mark Gay, the captain, but the referee's seen it the other way. And it's a yellow card and a free kick. Went in. Studs were up. Maybe it was just the matter of... It was the way he went in there, Gay. That right boot is slightly high off. For me, that's a good tackle. Slides in. Gets the ball first. Does go through the man. But I wouldn't exactly say the studs were showing. The referee were hesitant to give the free kick and the yellow card, but he gave it in the end. I don't know if that's me just being a bit too hard, and that maybe is, probably these days it is a free kick, but he got the ball first, and yes, did go through the man, but I don't think the studs were exactly showing there as he won the ball. I don't think, but the referee's given the foul. And this is a similar position to where Eze scored his free kick for Palace. Again, it's quite far wide, but if you don't set your wall up correctly and you're not watching that near post, you could be caught out, but I think Henderson is not going to allow that to happen. We've had 2 minutes added on. We've played 1 minute and 20 of it, so we've got 40 seconds left of this first half. And Burmo is the left-footed option on this Brentford right-hand side, and it's Jensen with his right boot, and Burmo will run over it, so it'll be Jensen to take. In it goes, a header away by Kamada for Crystal Palace, and I think it'll go for a corner on this near side for the home team. So it's going to be an in-swinger from the left boot of Burmo, unless he goes short to Jensen. Just a bit of a delay on this corner, as eventually the referee will blow the whistle. Brentford again surrounding the 6-yard box. Burmo delivers it deep, a bit too deep, very deep, and that is out for a Crystal Palace goal kick. Ayer was the one they were aiming for, and I don't blame them. He is 6'6", Christopher Ayer. Oh, no, was it Ayer? No, it was Nathan Collins, sorry. At that far post, he was trying to get the header, but again, just overhit. And we'll get a goal kick for Crystal Palace. We have played over the 2 minutes now added on. As Thomas Frank watches on from the sideline. Never beaten Crystal Palace in his managerial career. As the ball is pumped along by Henderson. A header away by Collins. Headed on by Sharda, but not towards Wisser. Dealt with by Anderson. As it's Mark Gay. At left centre-half goes into the centre circle. Will Hughes, and he gets it returned to Gay. Who goes over the top now for the runner, Kamada. In the box, it does reach him. He lays it off for Mateta, who takes one touch and strikes it towards the bottom left corner. It was dragged wide by the striker, but the offside flag was up anyway. So if it had gone into the back of the net, it wouldn't have stood. As Gay played that ball over the top, Daishi Kamada had just timed his run slightly off, went a bit early, but it did not end up into a goal for Crystal Palace, as eventually we will get the half-time whistle here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. And after 48 minutes of the first half, it is Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 0. It is a Bryan Mbeumo goal. That is the difference. It's his first ever goal against Crystal Palace, but it was certainly the away side who were on top in the opening exchanges of the game. Eze had a good few chances, and he had a goal. The ball in the back of the net from a free kick from a wide area. He caught out the goalkeeper of Mark Flecken at the near post, who was not covering that side of his goal. It came off the post and in, but before the ball had hit the back of the net, the referee had already blown his whistle for a foul off the ball in the box. It was Will Hughes blocking the run of Nathan Collins, so even if the referee could have had a look to check if it wasn't a foul, there was no point. They couldn't do it because he'd blown his whistle before the goal had already gone in. So the goal didn't stand. There will be debate whether it was a foul from Hughes on Collins. That'll be up for people's opinions, but the goal couldn't have stood due to the fact that the referee blew the whistle. So it led to frustration for Crystal Palace, and then literally a couple of minutes later, Brentford brilliantly beat the Crystal Palace press in their own half, playing through the Crystal Palace tight marking, and they got it down the right-hand side to Mbeumo, who was allowed to cut onto his stronger left foot by Gay, and he wrapped it to that far post. Gay couldn't block it, neither could Chris Richards, and it went beyond Crystal Palace's new number one of Dean Henderson and into the back of the net for a 1-goal lead. And after the goal, Brentford grew in confidence. They were getting forward more, getting a few more shots off at goal. Crystal Palace were definitely wobbled slightly by the goal conceded and the goal that they weren't allowed to have stood. And at half-time here at the G-Tech Community Stadium, it is Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 0. There'll be frustration for Crystal Palace, because I think a lot of their supporters will believe that that foul given against Will Hughes was soft. Looks like he'd blocked the run of Nathan Collins, to stop him from getting any defensive header away. But there was no header to have to make for Nathan Collins, because firstly he was on the ground, but also Eze didn't go for the cross. Caught out the goalkeeper, just about got it into that near post, deflecting off the post and in. But if the referee had just blown his whistle after the ball had gone in the back of the net, then he may have had to have had a look, see if there was enough of a foul to allow the goal. But the fact he blew his whistle before it hit the back of the net, nothing VAR could do, because he'd already put the match to a halt with the blowing of the whistle. It's certainly controversial from the referee Sam Barrett, who looks to have been promoted this season to being a full-time Premier League referee. He was the referee for the League One playoff final last season between Bolton and Oxford, and there he's made a big call, and I think Crystal Palace will believe he's made the wrong call. Brentford will be delighted with the fact that he didn't allow that goal to stand, and the fact that they went up the other end and scored minutes later through Bryan Mbeumo, who got 9 goals last season. He also got 9 goals the season before. So he'll definitely be looking for double figures this season, Bryan Mbeumo, to really, show an advantage, to show an improvement from the last 2 campaigns. And in fairness, Bryan Mbeumo probably would have got 10 goals last season if it wasn't for the fact he was injured with an ankle problem from December through to March. So he'll definitely be looking for double figures, and he started the right way this season with that brilliantly taken goal. It's a vintage right winger goal when you've got a left footer on the right wing cutting in and shooting across goal. Just too much power for Dean Henderson. But Brentford haven't won in their last 7 against Crystal Palace. The last time they beat Crystal Palace at home was 2-1 back in August 1977. And for Crystal Palace, the last time they won away against Brentford was back on Christmas Day 1957. They are winless against Brentford in their last 6 here. Well, not here exactly, but at Brentford, of course. This is their new stadium for Brentford, the G-Tech Community Stadium. It's been a decent first half. If we look at the stats quickly, 3 shots for Brentford, 2 on target, 4 for Crystal Palace, 1 on target. Possession pretty evenly split. Brentford with 53% and Crystal Palace with 47%. I think Crystal Palace will definitely think they've been hard done by with that disallowed goal not going in their favour. The middle section of the game, I wouldn't say the middle section, I'd say from around the 5th minute, because Brentford had some early possession in the first 5 minutes. Crystal Palace could barely get on the ball themselves there. But after the 5th minute, up until the goal they scored, which was disallowed, that 20-minute spell, they were on top. They were looking really dangerous, linking up nicely, the likes of Eze, Kamada and Mateta up front. But then the goal was disallowed, and then they also conceded a minute later, and it just all seemed to, I think, just rock Crystal Palace a bit, and they weren't quite able to get back into their flow of attacking in that first half. So they'll have to reset at half time and try and refine that, liquid looking football. It was really good that, a lot of first touch movement, and it's so good from Eze catching out Flecken from that free kick, that it's such a wide area he's taking it from. So to get that bend inside the post, just taking a slight nick off the post, it's so much skill, and he's so unfortunate that that's not allowed to have stood. If the referee blows his whistle after it goes in, he can then have a look at the foul that he gave, and he could, maybe think, is that soft? Should I overturn my decision? But the fact he's blown so early, he's not allowed the opportunity to go and have a look, because he's already stopped play. I think there's a debate going on in the Sky Sports studio, Jamie Redknapp looking rather emotional. For me, Will Hughes' only thought and his only way of thinking there is, I am blocking the run of Nathan Collins. Will Hughes has got no interest at all of even looking at the ball. I don't think he's even looking at the ball. So, for me, he is deliberately blocking the run of Nathan Collins. Does Nathan Collins make a meal of it? Possibly. Go into the ground rather theatrically. But, again, it'll split debate that. I think some will see it as soft. But then again, Will Hughes knows with VAR you can't... VAR didn't even get involved in this one, and it's been given by the referee. But Will Hughes knows the benefit of the doubt will go to the defender. If you're blocking their defensive run, if you're stopping them from defending, the referee will give it against you. It's one of the most given free kicks, especially in the lower leagues of football. I see, because I watched Stockport County, got a season ticket there. We're in League One this year, but in the last 2 seasons in League Two, so many free kicks go against teams. Before the ball's even in the box, the defender's already won a free kick because the attacker's put a slight shoulder on him or whatever. So it is a free kick it's given often in the game, and this time, unfortunately for Crystal Palace, it's really haunted them, and is going to haunt them during half time. They've got to forget it and try and come out in the second half and respond and bring this back from 1 goal down. I need Crystal Palace to come back badly. That's either a bet you've got on, or you've got a Crystal Palace team in your fantasy team. Because if we're talking about fantasy Premier League, I should have created one for this channel. I don't know why I didn't. I might look into that for next week. Get a league started and get people involved if they want to join. But I've got Mateta in my fantasy Premier League team. So if Crystal Palace are to score, then I'd like it to be Mateta. Currently on 48 points in my fantasy. I captained Isak for Newcastle, who only was able to get an assist against Southampton. Bit disappointing. But I've got Raya on 8 points, Alexander-Arnold on 8 points, Burn on 5, Saka on 12, then Kudus and Gibbs-White blanked for me, then Isak with 10, and got Mateta in as well. So, yeah, if Crystal Palace are to score, I'd love it to be the Frenchman up front, Jean-Philippe Mateta, who's had a brilliant season, brilliant back end of last season. Mateta scoring 13 and 13 under Glasner, scoring a hat-trick on the final day in their 5-0 win at home to Aston Villa. Then in the Olympics as well, scored 5 goals in the 6 games he played for France, losing the final against Spain. It was a home Olympics as well for France, so they'll probably feel that's a missed opportunity, as they were being led by Thierry Henry. He has had interest this summer. Mateta, Aston Villa have been sniffing around, but it doesn't look like any move will materialise. It does look like Mateta will stay put for now. He has a contract here until 2026, and there has been words of a possible contract extension, because of course, why wouldn't Crystal Palace want to keep Mateta after finishing the season in such good form? last time around. The second half will be getting underway now in a couple of minutes' time. As of course the game later on is Chelsea hosting Manchester City. The lineups for that game will be coming out in 15 minutes' time. So when the lineups do come out, I'll give them a brief mention if we have a break in play on this game that we're covering between Brentford and Crystal Palace. It's Brentford who lead, probably over the overall balance of play. It's probably in Crystal Palace who've looked the better team. They've attacked better, but Brentford are the team who've took their chance. And when you've got the likes of a Brian Mbeumo who is so clinical, it is very likely that he does get himself on the score sheet. Especially in the opening games, he does usually start the seasons well. Brian Mbeumo on his 99th Premier League appearance. That's his 23rd goal. Made his 200th appearance for Brentford in the last game of last season, when they took on Newcastle at home, Brentford, and lost 4-2. Goals from Vitaly Yarnelt and Johan Wissa, but there was 4 for Newcastle. Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy? It's Josh Murphy, isn't it? There's 2 of them. Josh and Jacob Murphy. It's Josh Murphy, yeah. Jacob Murphy plays for Portsmouth now. Josh Murphy scored. Bruno Guimaraes as well, and Alexander Isak. But if we have any score predictions for the second half for full time, let me know in the comments if you think it might end 1-0 to Brentford, or could Palace come back and have it as 2-1, or will it be 1-1, another draw in this fixture? We'll have to wait and see, but I hope there is more goals, and I believe there will be. You know, these two teams have got such good attacking options and attacking front lines, and even off the bench as well. You know, Brentford have got Keane, Lewis Potter, who started to really become more of a used player by Thomas Frank last season. Keane, Lewis Potter, 23-year-old left winger, brought in 2 seasons ago now from Hull. Played 30 times last season in the Premier League, scoring 3 times, one of them away at Crystal Palace, which was the 3-1 defeat back in December. They've also got Mikel Damsgaard as well, who is looking for his 50th Premier League appearance. They brought him in from Sampdoria for €15 million 2 seasons ago as well. Mikel Damsgaard, and he's not scored for them in 54 appearances. And since he signed, since his last goal in his club career, Damsgaard, which was in December 2020, he scored 4 times for Denmark since then. So it's not exactly like he's not scored for nearly 4 years. He scored internationally, but for club level, he's not scored since December 2020, 1,338 days ago. So it's not exactly like Brentford would want to bring Damsgaard on if they're looking for a goal, because he doesn't really score them at the moment for Brentford, but that can always change. As like I say, second half will be underway now in a minute or two's time. And if there is any changes as well at half time, I will let you know. I don't think there will be, unless it's any injuries possibly, then that might start some substitutions during the game. It does look like Odsonne Edouard is going through a rather vigorous warm-up here. You have got to remember, for Jean-Philippe Mateta, who wasn't too involved in that first half, I know he scored a lot of goals at the end of last season under Glasner for Palace, but he's had a very heavy summer. He's only just returned from the Olympics. France got to the final, and the Olympics only ended, what was that? Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago? Maybe? Weekend ago? So, he's had very little time to rest, Mateta. And Odsonne Edouard has had a full pre-season. He scored a few goals in pre-season as well. Odsonne Edouard scored 2 goals. The French striker, one against Crawley away from home, and also scored a goal against West Ham away when they had a pre-season friendly in Florida. So both sets of teams now re-emerging onto the field of play. Let's see if that Odsonne Edouard change does happen, and I'm presuming it will be for Mateta, like I say, not a lot of rest for the 27-year-old striker. So Odsonne Edouard, he's got his kit on ready. He's sat on the bench at the moment, so it could be a change that happens early in the second half, or is he now about to come on? They're really making us wait here. The Crystal Palace bench. So yeah, Mateta's got a training top on here, so it looks like Mateta will be brought off. Not exactly done anything wrong, Mateta, say. Just, I think, the fact he's just come back from the Olympics, he's probably not, fully fit. Probably still pretty tired. So it's one Frenchman off for another. So Jean-Philippe Mateta is off, unfortunately, in my fantasy Premier League team. So bit gutted, I must admit. But he will be replaced by the number 22 of Odsonne Edouard, as mentioned there. 2 goals in pre-season. He scored 7 goals in the league last season. Just 1, though, in 2024, which was in a home defeat in early April to Manchester City. So just the one change at half-time. Striker off for another striker. Mateta off for Edouard. As it's Brentford's kick-off, kicking right to left. Palace left to right, towards their away support, who are in that far left corner of the far right corner as we look in the ground. And it's play that is back underway here. Palace do need to get themselves back playing like they were in the first half of the first half. They played really well opening 20-25 minutes. Then the goal was disallowed. They then conceded, and it all just went to pieces a little bit as Brentford have broke away with the ball here. Right wing in Burmo, 1-2 with Wissa. Can he complete it? No, he can't. Wissa just runs into Anderson, and it will be a corner. Anderson getting across quickly to stop Wissa, who played it to Burmo, and he got it returned back to him. Couldn't quite get the first touch ahead of Joachim Anderson, who's cleared out for a corner. So positive start for Brentford, who look to double their lead if possible. If they want to finish higher than 16th like they did last season, they'll need to have their home form improved back to what it was. Both centre-halves in the box here for Brentford. In Burmo takes it short though to Jensen. Then on the angle here to Yarnell. Now back to Burmo, will cross it first time. Left-footed, it's missed by Anderson. Comes off the head of Norgard, and then headed away by Gay. Oh, as far as Burmo, who shields it away from Eze. And then goes back to Yarnell. Left-footed on the angle. Delivers it into the box. Pinnock flicks on towards Collins. He just misses it. And into the gloves of Henderson. Almost for Brentford. Very close. Nathan Collins there, diving to try and get a foot onto that ball. Couldn't quite do so. Scored at home in the league last season, Nathan Collins, in a 3-2 win against West Ham in early November. And he almost got on the end of that flick on there as Eze's touch on the left wing just goes heavy. And a goal kick for Brentford. Very unlike Abera Eze. A misplaced touch. So Flecken goes long from the goal kick out to the Brentford left on this near side. Sharda wins the header. Wissa will chase it. Anderson will clear it left-footed into the centre circle. Touched down by Edouard. And he can't quite shrug off Norgard. Cleared by Pinnock. Can't reach Sharda on the left wing. It's now back with Dean Henderson in the Crystal Palace goal. Never been beaten by Brentford in his career. Dean Henderson, who will send this ball away left-footed. It's high, it's in a central area. Edouard can't flick it on halfway line. Pinnock can head it away. Well, as far as Adam Wharton. It's now on this near side to Richards. Lifted ball down the right channel. Can it be controlled by Kamada? No, it cannot. And it'll roll through for Mark Flecken, just inside the Brentford 18-yard box. Thanks to everyone who's here now for the second half. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Next commentary is on Thursday night. Travelling into League 2 as Notts County take on Grimsby Town. As Christopher Ayer gives it away, sloppy ball on the halfway line, looking for Sharda. And it's now Eze just towards the left-hand side, forward to Edouard on the edge of the box, looking to his left himself, and he finds Mitchell, who will deliver a ball in towards Eze, nods it down for Edouard, he touches away from him, but he keeps it alive with Hughes, edge of the area, back out wide to Mitchell, low ball goes in, touched behind by Collins for a Crystal Palace corner, and it will be taken right in front of those travelling supporters. An hour trip to get here from Selhurst Park to the GTEC Community Stadium, so not a far away trip for Crystal Palace. And I know they don't leave London for a while this season, Crystal Palace. I think that's the team who don't think they have to travel far in the first couple of months of the season in terms of home and away fixtures, staying in London. So it'll be Eze to go short to Kamada on the far side. Kamada to the edge of the area. Wharton all alone. Left-footed shot to flex just wide of that right-hand post. Incredibly close for Wharton. A big slice of fortune about it. The fact it took that deflection, but it almost went in. Wharton all alone on the edge of the box. It deflects off Röslev, I believe. Have a look. Oh, double deflection off Röslev, then off Pinnock. If it didn't come off Pinnock, that's going in because Flecken was already diving away from the ball as it was deflected. Corner on the opposite side, 1-2 between Kamada and Wharton's ball's poor as he tried to put it in the end. And it's won back, though, by Kamada. Great slide challenge, and the ball in by Wharton just avoids Edouard on the 6-yard line. And just after 5 minutes of the second half, it's still 1-0 Brentford, but Palace look dangerous as Sharda can take on Anderson. Storming down the right-hand side. Sharda, midway inside the Palace half. Not got many options with him. Tries to take on Gay. Can he do it? No, he can't. Mitchell covers. And it's cleared away by the Palace number 3. Throwing for Brentford. But it's a more confident-looking Kevin Sharda on that right-hand side there for Brentford. As the home side will have a throw in here. But they didn't end the season too negatively, Brentford. You know, they picked up 10 points from the last 18 available. But of course, still not a great season in their books. 39 points. 20 worse off than they were the season before. As Jensen puts that long throw in into the box to the near post. It's a header away by Gay. And it's a corner. It's a well-won corner. It was only last season I commentated on a Brentford game when they were away at Tottenham. I think they got beat 3-2. In the end, and I discovered Matthias Jensen's long throw. I just didn't think he had a long throw, and he just doesn't seem like a player who has one. He's only 5'11", not exactly muscular, but he can really launch that ball in. And through that long throw in, they've got a corner. It's going to be an in-swinger from the left boot of Mbermo if he decides to deliver it directly into the box. And I think that will be the plan of action here for Brentford. Cross goes in. It's a deep one to Yarnell, who's all alone in the volley. Sky high over the crossbar. Didn't quite catch it there, Vitaly Yarnelt. It's a Crystal Palace goal kick. But on the edge of the box, he just entered the area late. Went unnoticed by the Crystal Palace defence. They've got away with that one, really. In the end, as the ball bounces towards Edouard in the centre circle, holding the ball away from Pinnock. Try to touch it into a midfield option of Wharton. He eventually gets it to him. It's now with Will Hughes in the centre circle. Out to his left to Eze. Plenty of bodies with him. He goes to his left to Mitchell. 1-on-1 with Röslev. Mitchell shielding the ball away from Röslev. And having to go back here to Will Hughes. But well kept by Mitchell despite having to go backwards. It's now Wharton on the edge. He will strike towards goal. It's palmed away by Flecken. Hit with power. Venomous strike towards that bottom right corner. Well dealt with by the goalkeeper. And Brentford clear up towards Mbermo. Well won header on the halfway line by Gay. It's now Tyreek Mitchell to bring it forward. Eze making a run off the ball. Mitchell doesn't use him. Goes into a central area to Kamada. It's now to Wharton, who's drifted towards the right wing. Finds Munoz. Ball's a bit short. And Matthias Jensen gets there first. Thrown in the final third. On this near side for Crystal Palace. As Wharton has come close twice now. In this second half. 8 minutes in. Still 1-0 to Brentford. As Adam Wharton searches for his first Crystal Palace goal. Camped inside the Brentford half. It's Palace attacking on the far side here with Tyreek Mitchell. Goes inside to Eze. Not caught on the edge of the box according to the referee. Eze stays down and Brentford will counter. Jensen going forward. Nutmegging Hughes to Mbermo in the centre circle. Tries to play it towards Wisser. Deflects instead to Sharda, who lets it run through for Wisser on the left wing. Keeps it away from Richards, and then caught by Richards. Or was it Munoz? I think Munoz was the one who caught him in the end. And that'll be a free kick for Brentford. I thought that looked like a foul on the edge of the area for Eze, but that wasn't given, and then that one's definitely a foul by Munoz. Let's have a look. Ball went to Eze. Collins went in. I'm not quite sure. We'd have to see that one again. Clearly the referee didn't see enough in it to give the foul for Palace, and instead they've got a free kick to defend themselves. Jensen and then Burmo stood over it on this Brentford left-hand side. We'll go through the Chelsea and Manchester City starting 11s in a moment, as they have been announced for the 4:30 kickoff. A game I'm not commentating on, but I'll still let you know what the teams are. Crossed by Burmo towards the far post, flicked away by Gay, and then tried to be recycled back in there, I think, by Sharda. But in the end, it's just kicked over the crossbar. Good delivery by Burmo. Was it Gay? It was Gay who got a slight flick to it. And it sent its way to Sharda, who off balance sends it over the crossbar. 10 minutes into the second half now. It's still 1-0 to Brentford, but Crystal Palace do look like they can score, so the game's definitely not over yet. It's Anderson from the goal kick. Sends a ball long up towards Edouard. Headed away by Pinnock to the halfway line to Hughes, who heads it forward himself to Eze, whose touch is heavy, but keeps it away from Burmo and gets the return ball. Eventually, no, Gay and Mitchell complete the 1-2 instead. That's now Gay on the halfway line, not being pressed at the moment. Finds Anderson, who's in the middle of that back three. Sends a high ball out to the right to Munoz. Not got lots of support around him here, the Colombian. Plays it back to Chris Richards. It's now Gay on the left-hand side of that back three, bringing in Tyreek Mitchell. There's a bit of space for Eze on the left wing. Can't quite find him yet. Eventually plays it to him. Here's Eze. Through back for Mitchell, who crosses deep towards Munoz at the far post, who heads it across, and it's in the back of the net. An own goal from Ethan Pinnock. And since the restart, Crystal Palace have looked like they could score an equaliser, and eventually it's via an own goal, but they won't mind at all. Ethan Pinnock trying to defend the Munoz header across goal. And instead of clearing it away from goal, he's put it into his own goal. And it was well worked down that Palace left. They've been a constant threat linking together Tyreek Mitchell and Abera Eze. And they've done it again with that 1-2. Mitchell clearly onside and allowed to cross it deep. Ayer couldn't quite win the header. It went over his head and onto the head of Munoz instead. He wasn't looking to head it on target. He was just looking to head it across goal in that 6-yard box, trying to find Edouard. But before it could get to their French striker, Pinnock's left boot got in the way, and it was an outstretched foot which ended up diverting the ball into his own goal. And it's 1-1, and Palace come forward again. Edouard just plays it behind Kamada on the edge of the area, and Brentford can bring it away and attack down the left-hand side. Sharda trying to go around Chris Richards, and he gets brought down by the American. And that'll be a yellow card and a free kick for Brentford. 1-1 in this game. An own goal by Ethan Pinnock. And Crystal Palace will now look to try and push on for a winner. It's what both teams will be searching for. But the momentum will certainly be with Crystal Palace at the moment. And when we get a break in play, we'll have a read and we'll have a look through the Chelsea and Manchester City starting 11s. As we've got 32 minutes left of this game. About 30 yards out on the far left-hand side, it'll be another Burmo cross here. Ezer's the only man in the wall. Burmo crosses to the near post, headed away by Kamada. Still alive on the edge of the area. Yarnett helps it forward out to the right-hand side. It's going to be dealt with here by Mitchell in a left-back position, who kicks it off Nathan Collins, and it will roll out very slowly for a Crystal Palace goal kick. So the Chelsea starting 11 is Sanchez in goal with Gusto Fafana returning Colwill and Cucurella as a back four. Two holding midfield, three central midfielders of Lavia, formerly of Manchester City, Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, the captain, and then a front three of Palmer, Jackson and Nkunku. So that's the Chelsea starting 11. And we'll have a look at the Manchester City starting 11 in a moment. As Eze looking across for Edouard, who's on his own. Edouard to slot it home! And the flag's up. Thought so. It looked offside to me. Crystal Palace breaking away down the left-hand side. Eze with a superb weight of pass to find Edouard, who was all alone through the middle of the pitch. Is he offside? And Burmo lost it. He looks onside to me. And Burmo lost it just a bit too cheaply. And it was Gay to send it forward. And then the ball across to Edouard. It's tight. Eze's onside from the original ball forward. Is Edouard onside from the ball across? I think he was just ahead of the ball. And VAR have checked it. And he will be offside. So goal disallowed again for Crystal Palace. This time by VAR. And the referee and the officials' decisions being confirmed as correct by the VAR, who today is Peter Banks. Did look offside as the ball was played across to Edouard there, and that was the right decision by the assistant referee. And again, Brentford giving it away. Anderson trying to get it forward quickly, but too quickly. He's rushed it with half an hour to play. It's 1-1 here. Both teams playing attacking football at the moment. As for City, it's Ederson in goal with Lewis, Akanji, Diaz and Gvardiol as a back four. Then the three midfielders are Kovacic, De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. With front three of Doku, Savinho and Haaland. So bench of Moreno, Walker, Stones, Ake, Grealish, Nunes, Foden, O'Reilly and McAtee. So they're the two starting 11s for the game later on in the Premier League. As Gay tripped from behind by Mbeumo in the final third. So it'll be a free kick for Palace in a left-back position. Getting a little bit frustrated there, Bryan Mbeumo. He scored the opening goal of this game after half an hour. But it was such a good introduction for Glasner in the Premier League. He got 24 points from a possible 39 in the opening 13 games he took charge of last season. And he'll be looking for more of the same as Pinnock lifts it to the left-hand side. It's a great chested touch by Jensen. Kicked out of play by Munoz, but it's still alive here for Brentford. About midway inside the Palace half on this near side. Jensen will leave the throw in here to be taken by number 20, Christopher Ayer, who hadn't played against Crystal Palace in the last 4 games between the two. That's Schade towards the corner flag. Tackle by Richards. Munoz takes too long to clear. Just about keeps it away from Jensen. Going back to Richards. Now into the box to Anderson, who clears it forward. Back forward for Brentford by Yarnell, but only as far as Wharton, who loses out to Yarnell again. And it's now on the left-hand side with Ayer. Brentford's turn to attack in the final third. Kevin Schade goes inside here to Norgard. Touches it away from Wharton. Looks for a ball through to Wisser. It deflects off him after a clearance from Gay and into the gloves of Dean Henderson. 28 minutes to play here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Still 1-1. Crystal Palace bagging their equaliser via an own goal, but they might go on and put themselves ahead. Eze plays it into the space for Edouard on the left-hand side of the box. Angles tight, so he pulls it back. Then it comes off Mads Roerslev, and out for another corner for Crystal Palace. It does seem like either of these two teams could go on and win this game. Both having surges of attack and looking dangerous when they're going forward. So it looks like Eze in front of those Crystal Palace supporters will walk away from this corner, and they'll be taken by the Colombian of Daniel Munoz instead. It's going to be another right-footed option though, so it will be an in-swinger when the ball eventually goes into the box. Crystal Palace got plenty of bodies at the far post. Munoz goes short to Will Hughes. Back to Munoz on the angle. Can he deliver this ball into the box? And he'll go back down the line to Hughes. It's a good reverse pass. Hughes, back post towards Anderson, but it's a header won by Schade instead. And it's put behind for another corner for Crystal Palace on this near side instead. They've taken it quickly with Anderson finding Wharton on the angle who crosses. It's a header won by Norgard. Drops to Wisser. Pokes it forward into space, but no one in a red and white shirt will get there for Brentford. Cleaned up at the back by Tyreek Mitchell. And it's now to this near side to Joachim Andersen, about 10 yards inside the Brentford half. No one coming towards him. So plenty of time on the ball for the Crystal Palace. Number 5. Sorry, he's got 16 on his number on my screen. It's number 5. So Crystal Palace have had a few number changes. Do apologise for not spotting that. As Gay switched it out to the right. Kamada touches it down just outside the area. Goes inside to Wharton, who's given chance to shoot again. And it's palmed away by Flecken. He'll be kept alive here by Kamada on the right wing. Wharton 3 times now. He's come close to scoring his first ever Crystal Palace goal. He's been given the ball again. This time in the box. Plays it to his right to Munoz. He squares it again. Deflects towards goal off a Brentford man. This time it was Yarnell. And this time it's gone over the crossbar. And it's another Crystal Palace set piece. And they're starting to really assert their dominance again on this game. The Eagles. Wharton shooting towards the top right corner. Comfortable save for Flecken. It's one you'd expect him to make, but he was hit hard. So it'll be an in-swinger from the left boot of Wharton to the near post. It goes all the way through and out to the edge of the box to Mbermo. Pulled back by Kamada to stop any counter-attack. And the Japanese international will be booked by Sam Barrett. No complaints. He knows what he's doing there. Daishi Kamada, who's not quite had the most scintillating debuts. You know, he's a really good technically gifted player. Daishi Kamada. Like I said, didn't quite work for him at Lazio last season under Sarri, but Oliver Glasner, he's worked with him before. He knows how to get the best out of him. Won the Europa League with Glasner 3 seasons ago now. But just not quite shone yet so far, but I'm sure his time will come this season. 25 minutes to go. Still 1-1 here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Cost £71 million to build, which I think these days, for a modern stadium, is rather not cheap, because £71 million is a lot of money. But, you know, it's a really nice, tidy-looking stadium. It's not the biggest of the lot. It can hold 17,250 people. But it just about fits right for the size of Brentford, and they are growing as a club as they are, you know, consolidating themselves as a Premier League club now as they attack down the right-hand side. In Burmo crosses on the angle towards Wissa. Headed on by Richard. Drops to Gay, who spins and clears it up into the air. Controlled by Mbermo in a central area. Sends it back to the centre circle here to Yarnell. But the attack can continue for Brentford as they return it to Mbermo. Now the captain Norgard, midway inside the Palace half. Goes to Collins. Then out wide right here to Roerslev. Finds Mbermo. Roerslev makes a run forward. Mbermo tries to keep it away from Gay. Loses out to Gay. It's now with Eze. Tries to take on Collins, and he can't do so. That's a brilliant tackle from Collins sliding in. But then Eze wins it back, even better, and then flicks it through for Hughes. Then forward to Kamada on the left wing. Crystal Palace are the one to break with the ball. And can they break this Brentford defence? Kamada, it's bouncing around him and Pinnock. And it's Pinnock to take it away in the box. And Brentford defend that chance well. Again, Kamada not quite shining there as Pinnock gets away from Hughes and then collides into Mitchell. Ball bounces up in the air, and it's still alive here for Brentford. And it's Palace to take it over. Mitchell tackled fairly by Yarnell, and the last touch off Hughes. And after a few crunching tackles, it will be a Brentford throw-in on the far side. Still 1-1 here. Looks like Ethan Pinnock, as he was going on that run there, and he collided with Mitchell. I think he may have just been caught in the face. Accidental, wasn't on purpose, but, you know, still hurt. Maybe caught in the eye, possibly. Wasn't complaining at all, Ethan Pinnock. But of course, if it causes you pain, you're going to you're going to show that emotion. But it looks like there is activity on the Crystal Palace bench. They've already made one change at half time. Edouard, who has had the ball in the back of the net this half, but he was offside. He replaced Mateta, who's just coming back from the Olympics with France. And it looks like they might make more changes here. Palace have already won it back in the centre circle with Kamada. Now to Munoz. Returns it to Dean Henderson, because that was a violent press there from Brentford. He couldn't lose that ball, and he didn't. And it's now with Dean Henderson in the 18-yard box. Goes long, out towards the right-hand side, towards Edouard. Heads it inside towards Munoz. Dealt with by Pinnock momentarily, but then won back by Munoz. But then Pinnock slides in again to take it away from Edouard. And then Jensen turns one way, then the other. And then plays it back, well kept by Brentford's number 8. And he goes to Sharda. And it's now with Flecken at the back. And it is very well dealt with by Brentford. You know, they've got to be careful where No team ever wants to lose the ball, but when they do lose it, you don't want to lose it in a dangerous area. And, Crystal Palace would have had numbers over Brentford there if they lost it, and they didn't. Yarnelt, big switch out to the left, looking for Schade, nods it backwards here to Jensen, beats Munoz to it. It's now Jensen, left-footed, he'll cross it into the area, volleyed by Anderson, forward by Wharton. Kamada on the edge of the area, loses it to Jensen, who has got an option to his right, and he plays to Yarnelt, onto his strong left foot, he shoots, and he aims for the far corner, drags it wide, lacked any power. Anyway, would never have gone in, and it's a goal kick for Crystal Palace. I've enjoyed this game. 1-1. 5 of the last 6 have been draws, so this isn't a shock result, but, it's been an enjoyable watch so far. As it's going to be Jordan Ayew to come on for Crystal Palace. We've still not had a Brentford change, and Jordan Ayew has had a lot of interest this summer. The strongest interest has come from Leicester, who have, of course, just been promoted back into the Premier League. He's got a year left on his contract, Jordan Ayew, and this will be his 245th Premier League appearance, which he will make as he replaces Daishi Kamada, as we just spoke about. Not the greatest of debuts. He's not shown exactly what he's about, but I'm sure throughout the season, Kamada will bring goals and assists to this Crystal Palace side. But he's replaced by the very experienced 32-year-old of Jordan Ayew, who has never scored against Brentford in his career. He's faced them 7 times before. It's Anderson, long from the goal kick. Brought down by Edouard on the halfway line to Eze. That's brilliant. And Eze tried to curl it out to the right to Ayew. Cleared by Pinnock. All as far as Wharton on halfway. Try to shield it away from Norgard. And he's clipped by the captain. And it's a very well-won free kick there by Adam Wharton. As it will, we're going to get a Brentford change. It's going to be the man who's never scored for them. He'll be coming on for his 50th Premier League appearance. And that is Mikkel Damsgaard. Like I say, not coming on yet, but he's got his kit on and he's ready for whenever they decide to make the change. The home side, Eze on the left wing, just about works it back to Hughes and returns it to Eze. Back to Hughes in the Palace half. It's now Anderson, the centre half. To the right side here to Richards, being closed down by Schade. Finds the wide man of Munoz. Then back to Richards, who's facing his own goal. And he'll play it to Dean Henderson, who's been closed down by Schade. Clears it quickly with the left boot into the Brentford half. Header won by Pinnock. Flicked forward by Norgard. Dealt with by Gay, who heads it across to the right centre-back of Chris Richards, who brings it forward on the halfway line here. Going forward even more into the Brentford half now. Quick 1-2 with Jordan Ayew. Now he leaves it for Jordan Ayew to take over. He's going to go for a switch. It's a lower ball and it just about gets beyond Mbermo. Through to Tyreek Mitchell. Into the box. Can't find Eze. Just over hit. Cleared by Collins to Yarnelt. Then forward to Wisser, who's broke the lines. And then out to the right to Mbermo. Wisser's continued his run. And he's onside. Wisser, can he get there ahead of the goalkeeper? No, he can't. A sliding Dean Henderson on the edge of the area comes out and deals with it. Really good goalkeeping. Read the situation really well there, Dean Henderson. As it was a almost perfect timed 1-2 between Mbermo and Wisser. Did not materialise in the end for the home side, as we've got about 18 minutes plus added on time left of this game. Still 1-1. Will we get a winner? It ended 1-1 here last season when these two sides met on the 28th of August 2023. It's with the right centre half here of Nathan Collins for Brentford, bringing it out from the back. Brentford as last 6 games. So 5 of the last 6 have been draws. So the last time these two sides met, Crystal Palace won 3-1 at Selhurst Park. But before that, the previous 5 were all draws. So it is usually a draw between these two, more often than not, as the ball is brought to Ayew on the left wing in the final third. Plenty of Brentford bodies in the box to defend, as Ayew plays it to the right to Edouard. Left-footed shot towards the top left corner, just always rising too high. And out for a goal kick for Brentford. Not the best of attempts there by Odsonne Edouard. We're going to get a double Brentford change. The first one we'll see Kevin Schade, the number 7, who today was only starting his 12th Brentford game since he first joined originally on a loan back in January 2023. He'll be replaced by number 24 of Mikkel Damsgaard, who's making his 50th Premier League appearance. And as an attacker, he still never scored for Brentford. And this is his 55th game for them in all competitions. And the second change, it's going to be a bit of a shape change, I think, as Vitaly Yarnelt, the number 27, has been replaced by the left winger of Keane, Lewis Potter, who's making his 48th Brentford appearance, so coming up to half a century here. And we're also going to get a Crystal Palace change again, as it'll be the number 26 of Adam Wharton. He'll be replaced by number 8, Jefferson Lerma, who scored twice in the Copa America for Colombia, but lost the final of that competition. So Adam Wharton, who's not quite had the full pre-season, but has been there for the majority of it. Of course, didn't play any minutes in the Euros, and he does come off quite frustrated, Adam Wharton. He was close to scoring as well. Had 3 shots at goal, one that was nearly in through a deflection. That was the closest, but he also had 2 strikes saved away by Flecken. So plenty of changes made. Still no Fabio Carvalho to come on for Brentford, their main money signing. Not the most expensive, but spent £27.5 million on him. 15 minutes to go here. Still 1-1. Brentford playing from the back. Cleared long by Collins. It's actually a great pass in the end to Damsgaard, who's got in between the lines and takes it beyond the halfway line and turns away from Lerma. It's now with Norgard. Back out wide right to Damsgaard. Roerslev overlaps and he finds the run of him. Roerslev from right back, crossing into the area. It's a bouncing one. It's hard to deal with by Richards. Cleared in the air by Anderson. Headed away by Gay to Mitchell, who can avoid the corner but concedes the throw-in instead. And it just keeps turning one way then the other this game. Palace attacking, having a bit of momentum, and then it switches. Brentford do a little bit of attacking as well. It does look like we're going to get a long throw-in into the box here with exactly 15 of the 90 to play. We know Jensen's got the long throw. Goes short instead though to Damsgaard. It's now back with Jensen to Damsgaard again. Jensen around the corner, looking for Mbermo. Headed away by Gay. Looks far as Damsgaard, midway side of the Palace half on the right-hand side. Works to Jensen, forward to Mbermo, returns it to Jensen. Back through to Mbermo. It's good play here as Damsgaard gets the cross into the box all the way through. Collins spins, shoots, deflects, palmed away, onto the feet of Wissa. The flag stays down and Brentford take the lead again. Johan Wissa, this time with the goal. He really couldn't miss it. It was pretty much put onto his foot by Dean Henderson, who was scrambling, trying to get that ball away. And as he pushed it away from goal, it was straight onto the feet of Johan Wissa. He didn't really have to do too much with it. He was just in the right place at the right time. And it's such a well-worked goal down that Brentford right. Short, intricate passes. And Damsgaard, despite not scoring yet for Brentford, he can bring that creativity. He got it in the box first time. I think catching the Palace defence by surprise. It was headed on by Anderson, dropped to Collins, who spun, had the shot. It deflected, and Henderson was trying to get an arm out to the ball. He got a touch to it in the end, but could only palm it into the onrushing Johan Wissa, who'd followed the ball in. Just pushed it straight onto his feet. It came off both feet a couple of times. It was a bit scrappy the way it ended up going over the line into the back of the net. But Johan Wissa will not complain. No flag up because he was onside as Collins had that shot taken. And again, for a second time in the game, it's Brentford who lead. It's Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. Although the goal ended up looking scrappy, the way it went in, that build-up down the right-hand side, the way that they were able to keep it in such a tight space was really impressive. Good cross from Damsgaard, and it was eventually bundled home by their number 11, Johan Wissa, who scores his 30th goal for the club since he joined 3 years ago from Lorient in France. And the home side lead again. Haven't beaten Crystal Palace at home since 1977. That could all change today. As it's with Palace lifting it out to the right on the halfway line with Munoz, the wing-back. Tackled there by Keane, Lewis Potter. And it will be a throw-in for Crystal Palace on this near side. Will Hughes lifting it out to Gay, being closed down here by Damsgaard. Gay trying to shield the ball, and he does do that successfully. Then goes back to Henderson, clearing it first time. It's high, it's loopy. It's up towards Ayew, but he loses out to Pinnock, who goes back to Flecken. Takes no risk, clears it first time. Controlled by Damsgaard, then Wissa can't play it through to Mbermo. Richards forward to Lerma on halfway. And and then trying to find Ayew, who's coming back from an offside position. So he's had to leave it, and it goes through to the gloves of Flecken in the 18-yard box, who quickly throws it out to Ayew at left back. Down the line to Lewis Potter. Tries to play a ball inside, comes off a closing down Richards. And that'll be a throw-in for Brentford. Just over 10 minutes of the 90 to play. They're taking the lead here, but they need points now because Brentford have got difficult games coming up. They've got away to Liverpool next week. Then next 3 away games are Liverpool away. Then Manchester City, then Tottenham. So they need points now. Sandwiched in that run of away games is Southampton at home. So you feel like they've got to win these 2 home games if they want any decent points on the board after 5 games played. As Palace attack, Eze, who's been uninvolved in the last 10 or 15 minutes, has a shot from the edge of the area, it deflects, takes all the pace off it, and into the thankful hands of Mark Flecken in the Brentford goal. Had a goal disallowed in the first half. Eze from a free kick out wide, catching out the goalkeeper, but it was disallowed as the referee blew his whistle early for a foul whilst he was taking it. So it's just been a disappointing and frustrating day all round so far for Crystal Palace, as this will just be their 4th defeat under Glasner in 14 games. Didn't lose too many at the back end of last season when they brought in the Austrian. Did start with just 1 win in his first 7, Glasner, which was the first game against Burnley. So it wasn't an automatic start from Crystal Palace of picking up successful results under Glasner. They picked it up just at the right time before the season ended to push themselves up to 10th. As it's Crystal Palace to build on the left-hand side here, just inside the Brentford half. Furthest wide here is Mitchell, goes inside to Eze, who's been tackled by Damsgaard, but he can keep it away from the Brentford number 24. And it's now with Gay, not being closed down at the moment, the number 6 and the captain. It's now with Anderson in the centre circle. Goes to the right here to Will Hughes. Back to Chris Richards. Brentford not pressing too heavy because they don't want to leave any unnecessary gaps in their defence, which Crystal Palace could possibly play through. Gay on the far side. First time pass forward to Eze. It's now with Mitchell, lifting it back down the line towards Ayew, who's trying to keep it away from Pinnock. Does do so for now, and it breaks for Mitchell to the edge of the area to Eze. On his left foot in the area, it deflects towards goal, and that's a brilliant save from Flecken. Had to deal with the deflection, and he did so very well. Mitchell with a great ball inside to Eze, who instead of going on the right side, he went onto his left, and that's a great save. Deflected to the near post off the boot of Collins. They've already conceded 1 own goal today. Brentford, they didn't want to concede a second, and Flecken was not allowing that to happen. They do concede a corner, but they'll certainly take that over a goal. 8.5 minutes to play here in the 90. Palace absolutely fill out that 6-yard box as the referee just halts the play as he wants a word in that 6-yard box. So a couple of words from the referee as there's a bit of pushing and shoving going on. But he'll eventually be taking it for Crystal Palace. I believe it will be Jordan Ayew to put an in-swinging cross in. It's a near post cross. It's come off the knee there of Pinnock, which drops to Eze, who strikes it wide. A little bit of afters between Norgard, and as the Eze shot went through, did it take any deflections off a Brentford player? I think if it came off anyone, I think it came off a Crystal Palace player. Glasner's asking for the corner. Won't get it. So substitutions for Brentford. They're going to make two more. And we're going to see the new signing of Fabio Carvalho from Liverpool. The first change will see the match winner, currently as it stands, Johan Wissa, who scored his 30th Brentford goal this afternoon. Will be replaced here by the number 14, the new signing, signed this week, started this week from Liverpool. That's Fabio Carvalho, who's made 17 Premier League appearances before today. Scored 3 times. Just didn't quite work for him at Liverpool. So he'll replace Johan Wissa And the second change will see Matthias Jensen, the number 8, come off for the number 15 of Frank Onyeka. Coming on for his 76th Brentford appearance. And he's only started 36 of them. So that's 40 appearances for him off the bench for Onyeka, who last season lost the Africa Cup of Nations final to Ivory Coast, the Nigerian international. And another change for Crystal Palace, a very frustrated and animated Will Hughes has come off, and so has the centre-back of Chris Richards. So it looks like it's probably been a double change as well for Crystal Palace, as they've brought on Sheikh Doucouré. And they've also brought on Ismail Assar, their new signing from Marseille. So a double change each, as Brentford look to see out the game and Crystal Palace look to try and find an equaliser if possible. It's on the halfway line here with Jefferson Lerma for Palace. Wanting to go forward, lifting it forward up towards Ayew, headed back though by Collins to his goalkeeper. That is really good defending. Calm, composed, and it's brilliant. And it's in the hands of Marta Flecken, who will take all the time he can with this. As Flecken kicks it long out of his hands, deep into the Crystal Palace half. Header won by Anderson on Mbermo, controlled down by Edouard, then back into Mitchell. Another long ball over the top for Ayew to chase it. Pinnock will beat him to it, tries to head it forward. Ayew still battling. Pinnock gets another header away, only tries Eze. Gets it inside to Lerma, and it's now with Mitchell on the far side. It's been well kept there by Crystal Palace. Bit of a hopeful ball forward, but they've done well to keep it away from Ethan Pinnock. With less than 5 minutes of the 90, Crystal Palace will be the team who will probably be doing the majority of the attacking in this final ending of the game. It's on the right wing with Sarr, their new signing from Marseille. Goes back into Anderson and across to Gay. Furthest one back for Palace, and everyone's behind the ball for Brentford as they are camped in that Brentford half. Munoz gets the ball kicked off Carvalho. Thrown for Palace, taken quickly. A bit frustrating for Carvalho, who was obviously he's an attacking midfielder, but he'll have to do a lot of defending for Brentford when he's come on just to see this result through. Eze shaping up one-on-one with Damsgaard. Gets it forward towards Edouard. Kicked away by Norgard, but back to Eze in the area. Trying to get beyond one and a second. And the ball towards the goal. And it's just been stopped at the near post by Flecken. An almost chance for Eze. With those magic feet again, causing Brentford issues. He's caused them issues all day. And now he's not scored a goal himself in this game. I do not know. He's had one disallowed. He's had other opportunities as well. But I think he was attempting a cross there, but he was off balance left-footed, so it was going in towards the goal, but it was well dealt with by Flecken as Sarr heads it forward for Ayew down the halfway line with Sheikh Doucouré. Skips away from Carvalho, and Ayew then takes over. It's now in the centre circle with Jefferson Lerma. It's now with Mitchell, everything to his right for Crystal Palace. Back into Lerma on an angle, who will decide to cross the ball in towards Ayew, flicks it towards goal. It's just wide of that near post. Could have possibly been offside there, Jordan Ayew. Not too sure. Don't think the flag went up. It was a decently weighted ball by Lerma. And Ayew timed his run brilliantly. He was well onside, and that would have been a great goal. About 6 yards out, it was coming across his body. So he had to really flick that right boot across the ball, and he couldn't flick it across enough to direct it on target. And it still remains 2-1 here to Brentford. Long ball by Brentford again, headed backwards by Lerma to Gay. And again, Crystal Palace straight back on the ball on this near side with Munoz. Back to Anderson, clears it forward. It's a high one into space, but no one's chasing it for Palace until Ismail Assar decides he needs to do it himself. But Pinnock can deal with it. Clearance isn't great though. It's now a Doucouré clip there by Onyeka. Free kick for Crystal Palace just inside the Brentford half on this near side. They take it quickly. It's Lerma lifting it out to the left flank to Mitchell. Forward to Eze, midway inside the Brentford half. Bringing in Lerma. Edouard touches it onto Mitchell, who crosses low to Eze. Angles tight, and the shot saved by Flecken again. 90 seconds to go. Brentford standing strong. Crystal Palace are giving this a good go at the end of the game. I think this game will be a serious look at just confusion for Crystal Palace. How they could possibly come out of this game without anything. You know, having a goal disallowed. I know they've scored through an own goal, but they've had plenty of opportunities. But Brentford have defended well so far. A final change for Brentford. And this is a substitution to really see the game out. Brian Mbeumo, the scorer of the first, will be replaced by centre-back and the only defender that Brentford have got on the bench. And that is Ben Mee, turning 35 this time next month. Just played 18 games last season in all competitions due to an ankle injury he had from February to May. But he's coming on to face Crystal Palace for the 20th time in his career. Didn't feature against Crystal Palace at any point last season. So Ben Mee is on for added on time here as we're about to hit the 90th minute. Flecken gets the ball back in play. With a kick out towards the left-hand side, out for a throw-in. Christopher Ayer could not keep it in, and in a right-back position, it's a Crystal Palace throw-in. From back to Anderson, who clears it forward, not very far though, it's high. Volleyed forward by Norgard, back into the final third for Brentford, dealt with by Anderson. 4 minutes added on by the fourth official, as Decore tries to get it forward to Edouard, pulled to the ground by Roerslev, not given as a foul by the referee. It's now Anderson trying to clear it again off the knee of the Danish centre-half, and it can't be dealt with by Munoz. It's now Damsgaard on the left wing, playing it inside here for Lewis Potter. Then to Damsgaard, out wide left here to Ayer. Norgard to Mee. Norgard caught late though as he played it back. And there'll be a yellow card here. A lot of yellow cards given today. This one to Jordan Ayew. Yeah, 6 bookings. Just caught the toe of Christian Norgard. Jordan Ayew, as it could possibly be a little bit of a frustrating end to the game for Crystal Palace. Thomas Frank looking animated. Looking rather stressed, you could say, the 50-year-old who's looking for his first ever managerial win against Crystal Palace in his 115th Premier League game in charge and his 275th at Brentford. As Damsgaard crosses into the box, it's a header away for Crystal Palace by Munoz, the wing-back. All as far as Lewis Potter on the right wing, who takes a heavy touch around Lerma. Can he get the ball back in the area? It's actually Nathan Collins, the centre-half, playing it forward to Carvalho towards the corner flag. Can't return it to Collins, but then does a second time with a sliding challenge. Nathan Collins takes out his own player of Carvalho as he takes it to the corner, and he's shielding it well. With his 6'4" stature, he tries to backheel it off a Crystal Palace player. And the last touch off Carvalho as he was battling with Mitchell. Goal kick for Palace. They've just got 2 minutes of added on time to try and take a point from the opening day of the season. Anderson going long. Up towards Edouard. Header won by Onyeka. Straight to Ben Mee. No nonsense defending from Ben Mee. With the clearance, so as far as Munoz. Looks for Decore. Keeps it away from Carvalho, but then taken off him by Norgard. And Norgard still in the midfield as an option for Lewis Potter. He goes back to Ben Mee instead. Now in the Brentford half as he tries to go to the goalkeeper, Flecken. That's a risky pass from Mee. Flecken gets there, but what is Ben Mee doing? Almost played it right through there for... almost played it through for Odsonne Edouard there, but Flecken did get there rather comfortably in the end, but it could have been far from comfortable as Dean Henderson, again, gone long for Palace, up towards Eze, header won though by Collins, and it falls here for Onyeka on the far side for Brentford, can't quite keep the ball in play, and it's a throw-in for Crystal Palace, taken quickly by Mitchell to Lerma, less than a minute on the clock now, between these two London sides. He'll be aiming towards the top half of this table. Crystal Palace got in the top half last season. Brentford were closer to the relegation zone. But that all changed this season, hopefully for the Bees. As a ball in towards the edge of the box is dealt with by Collins, again ahead of Eze. But along as far as Lerma on the far side, just in front of the halfway line. Goes to Anderson. 30 seconds to go. Dribbling it forward to the edge of the centre circle. Playing it to the right to Munoz. Not got many options around him. Munoz has it. Goes out to the left here to Lerma. Forward to Edouard. Controls it well, but then Collins can take it off his toes. Back to Flecken. Clears it up into the sky. 10 seconds left to play. Lerma forced to go back to Anderson from press from Lewis Potter. Anderson sends it forward up towards Ayew. Flicked on here towards Gay. Cleared by Pinnock to Mitchell. We've played the 4 minutes. Mitchell spins and crosses. Header away by Collins. And the referee will blow for full time. And Brentford start the season buzzing with 3 points. It's a fantastic victory against Crystal Palace, who started the season, who ended the season so strongly under Oliver Glasner. Tried to start it in the same way. Couldn't quite do so against the Brentford side, who when went forward, looked very dangerous and dealt with, on the whole, the Crystal Palace attacks pretty well. We know Crystal Palace can be dangerous with their individual qualities. Eze had a goal disallowed in the first half at 0-0 as the referee blew for a free kick off the ball before the ball hit the back of the net. A minute later, or a couple of minutes later, and Burmo made it 1-0 just before the half an hour mark. On the right wing, cutting onto his left foot in the box, striking it across goal and putting Brentford 1-0 up. And after the break, Crystal Palace responded with an own goal, scored in their favour. Ethan Pinnock putting it into his own goal after trying to deal with a Munoz header across the 6-yard box. And for the last half an hour, it was pretty end-to-end. There was no team in control. Both teams were attacking. Both teams were having momentum. And it was the home side who ended up nicking the winner here. With about 15 minutes of the 90 to play, Johan Wissa following up a shot from Nathan Collins, which took a deflection, and it could only be palmed away by Henderson straight onto the feet of Wissa, who was just about able to bundle it home. And a game and a day that just stinks of frustration for Crystal Palace. They will somehow have to walk away from this game with nothing. Of course, it's a 38-game season. There's another 37 games to play. I'm sure Crystal Palace won't ponder on this game too much. They'll try and just forget it and move on, because they know under Glasner what performances and what results they can pick up. It will still be frustrating, but here at the GTEC Community Stadium, between these two London sides, it finishes Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1. Great commentary. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Thanks to everyone who did listen and tune in. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Before you do go, a weird game. I feel like in terms of, they do play differently. Crystal Palace, it's very, close quarters, quick passing, one-touch movement. Brentford, it's a little bit more direct. It's not exactly like just pumping it long and hoping for the best. They didn't have a target man up there today, but they do like doing big diagonal switches from one side of the pitch to the other. And their play at times, when they do go back to front on the counter, it's quick, and it does cause teams problems, and did cause Palace problems today. I just feel like, on the whole balance of the game, probably a draw was a fair result. And if you really had to push it, you probably think Palace could have, or should have, maybe deserved to have won the game. I think overall, though, I think a draw would have been fair. But football is not always fair. And unfortunately, Crystal Palace have been on the wrong side of the luck today, and they do fall to a first game defeat. But as I said, I think Crystal Palace will move on from this game rather quickly. They've got West Ham at home next, then Norwich in the League Cup at home if they maybe want a bit of a cup run, and then Chelsea away. So they've got plenty of games coming up to look forward to, and plenty of games where they can get points on the board and get their season really rock and rolling, trying to maybe continue the momentum from the back end of last season. But for Brentford, it's a brilliant start. Like I said, they only won 5 of their home games last season out of the 19. They've already started with a win today. They'll want to be aiming for the top 10 of the Premier League table. 2 seasons ago they finished 9th, so they know they can reach those heights. Last season it was just a bit of a mess of a season, missing Ivan Toney for so long, and Burmo was injured as well for the back end of the season. But hopefully with everyone fit, even with the sale of Ivan Toney, if that happens, if they can invest that money elsewhere on another striker, I still think without Ivan Toney, I think Brentford will be absolutely fine. I think they will be well away from relegation And hopefully for the Bees fans, they can aim towards that top half of the Premier League table. But like I said, if you did enjoy, make sure you do like and subscribe if you have not already, as the first Premier League game we have commentated on has ended in a win, and it was for the home side. It was for Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium. 5 of the last 6 games between these two sides have been draws. Now the last 2 have been a win each. Palace won back in December of last year, 3-1. This time at home, Brentford have won 2-1. It's their first win in 8 against Crystal Palace. It's their first home win against them since August 1977. It took a lot of desire. It took a little bit of fortune, but in the end, they have got over the line against Crystal Palace as at the G-Tech Community Stadium. Somehow, it has finished Brentford 2, Crystal Palace 1.